Aloha, guys. Sorry, let me get these out for the pups. I was a little last minute on getting these ready for the dogs. How are y'all? I see Siren in chat right now. Hey, 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 my dear. And hopefully we'll get this done in time. So, because Siren and I got to do some videoing of something for Robbie's movie, which will be coming out on the 26th. So, those of you who are catching this right now, if you didn't see, yours truly is a suspect over there, it looks like. So you got to come over and check that out. So, anyhow, here we go. Hopefully, I've got everything working its way out right now. I've been over at Sleuth watching Sleuth. For those of you who've been over at Sleuth and are either coming over or will be coming over or catching the replay, we are going to be doing some of what she's been talking about. This is going to be a normal true crime update. I've got actually 4 cases that we are going to do updates on. We're going to start with Roberson. Not sure how many of you guys know about his case. It's really, I heard about it. Actually, Brutally Lauren tagged me in something on it, and it was the first time I'd heard about it. So I did some research into it, and I wanted to share that with everyone else. After that, we're going to talk about Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley. We have another member of the group that are suspects in their deaths who has basically waived right to a speedy trial, all this other stuff. So we'll go over that real quickly. Then the next thing we're going to go over is actually what I was just over at Sleuth watching also. We're going to go over a criminal complaint that just came out today in regarding Elijah Vu. Most of you guys know Elijah went missing earlier this year, and his mom and mom's boyfriend pretty much allegedly are behind his death. They found his body a few weeks ago. We do have a new criminal complaint connected to that. We've been over at Sleuth going over that complaint. I also had promised you guys I'd do it here too. So we are going to go over that complaint here. And guys, massive trigger warnings for this. We knew what we were getting into when we got the first set of criminal complaints against Jesse. This is, yeah, not good, not good. This poor little baby, I mean, it's infuriating. As I've been reading it, I have had to focus on breathing over and over to make sure that that I was actually breathing, because I would catch myself holding my breath. I was getting so pissed. So just FYI on that. And then last, I do want to update you guys on Suzanne Smith. We talked about Suzanne on Monday. Suzanne is missing out of the San Antonio area. Her husband has been arrested. Related, hello, Cristola, love you, my dear. Her husband has been arrested in this case for DV. However, they are looking for her, to be honest, her remains at this point. They did spend the last couple days looking at a landfill, and we have some updates on that also. So that will be happening in the 4th of the segments. So let's get moving on this. I know there's going to be a bunch of you who pop in at the end, a little later, because Sleuth is still finishing up her live. So for those of you catching up on replay, love you guys. And love you, Miss Cristola. How you do? Love you, my dear. And Siren, who popped in earlier. I'm hoping to get on with Siren very quick. We'll see. As soon as I'm done with this live, I've got dinner also planned tonight. So, okay, so let's start this with Robert Roberson. Not sure how many of you guys have heard about Robert. Robert's case, I have not heard about. This case has been going on since I think it was 2003. This is a man who has been sitting on death row. He was accused and found guilty of killing his daughter. And hello, Kathleen. How you doing, my dear? Yeah, Cristola, I've got a dinner with family tonight, but Siren and I are supposed to be recording something for Robbie's movie a little later also. So I'm going to try to get it all in tonight. So we will see if it happens. So, but Robert Roberson has been sitting in, death row, awaiting, his death penalty for killing his daughter due to shaken baby syndrome. Now, I had not heard anything. Let me actually ask you guys in chat, and those of you coming in later in comments, please let me know. Had you heard about Robert Roberson yet? Is this a new case to you? It was actually a completely new case to me. As I mentioned, Brutally Lauren actually had tagged a lot of people on a petition to get his death penalty, gotten rid of, all that stuff, because a lot of people are like, I don't think, oh no, this is not the sour tech. No, that's going to be coming up soon. We're actually trying to get stuff for the movie itself. So, a lot of people have come in on Project Innocence has come out saying that this guy is not guilty of killing his daughter due to shaken baby syndrome. That in reality, she died due to some chronic and acute illnesses that were going on. He was due to be killed, due to be death penalty enforced last night. However, last moment, everything changed. So what I want to do is start off with this video. Then we have an article real quick I wanted to go through with that. And let me know your thought. I'd really be interested in you guys' thoughts on this. I'm still researching a lot about this case. As you guys know, I was talking recently about the Schweitzer brothers and Dana Ireland here in Hawaii, where we had Project Innocence get involved, and we discovered that there was a different person involved in Dana's death. And so I've started really trying to remind myself that, we have to be open to the possibility that people may not actually be guilty at times. And we need to look at all the evidence. I'm still trying to look at these things, in this case. But let's go through this and let's see what y'all think.
Court of Pardons and Paroles on Wednesday denied requests to halt the upcoming execution of a man convicted in a shaken baby syndrome case. 57.
Now, just so you guys know, this video was done yesterday prior to everything being put on hold. As of, literally, I think it was 90 minutes before he was to be put to death, everything changed. So when you're hearing this, that, he's facing every execution last night, that is on hold right now.
10-year-old Robert Roberson was convicted in 2002 in the death of his 2-year-old daughter, Nikki Curtis. Investigators believe Nikki died from abuse, but Roberson's attorneys say evidence shows the toddler was not abused and actually died from pneumonia and other pre-existing conditions. On Thursday, Roberson is scheduled to be the first person executed in the U.S. for a murder conviction linked to shaken baby syndrome. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News national correspondent Nikki Batiste. Nikki, first off, what is shaken baby syndrome?
Lindsay, that question is really at the crux of this case. When this happened back in 2002, shaken baby syndrome was widely accepted as this idea that if you shake a baby, particularly if you shake them hard, it would cause brain damage, swelling. This is when Robert Roberson was convicted ultimately. Years later, shaken baby syndrome, the diagnosis itself came into question.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there real quickly. So that's what we're looking at in this case, is that when he took his, from my understanding, and we will see this in the article, he took his daughter into the hospital. And while she was there, they saw the doctors there saw what they call the triad of symptoms that kind of point towards shaken baby syndrome. Shaken baby syndrome is something that is still real. It's been now looked in differently. It used to be categorized kind of on its own. Now it's more of a subset of symptoms. And we've learned a lot more. Like any new diagnoses, as we start coming across it and putting names to it, we start recognizing other types of things going on. So In this case, he was found guilty of killing his daughter through shaken baby syndrome. Later on, they found she also had pneumonia, okay, as well as a few other things, including medication being given her that nowadays would not be given to a child in that situation. Um, could he have killed her? Yes, totally. Could he not have killed her? Possibly. That's what needs to be looked at before we actually go towards the point of execution. And could it be a combination of, okay, that it's both shaken baby syndrome and the other? Yeah, it is. It could. We don't know, but that's where I think it's important that we're now able to look at this. When I saw the petition come across, I was like, okay, I don't know enough to be able to say yes or no in this. It needs to be looked into. And because shaken baby syndrome is a real thing. And one of the comments that did come out of a lot of the articles I've been reading on this is people are worried that in trying to prove was this shaken baby syndrome or not, that people will start kind of poo-pooing the idea of shaken baby syndrome. No, it's a real thing. Okay, children are killed or permanent damage due to being shaken and the way they're treated. It's a type of abuse and all.
Its credibility in criminal cases came into question. And the lead detective in this case, who initially believed Robert Robertson was guilty, got a knock on his door from Robert Robertson's lawyer. Take a listen to what he told me.
Now, this is what's important to take a look at, because this is the lead detective in the case initially. Okay, now remember, this is a case from back 2002, 2003, somewhere in that time frame. We're talking 20 years. There's been a lot of new medical discoveries since then, things that we can look at, things like that. And this, listening to this detective did make my eyes kind of perk up and be like, okay, we need to take a closer look.
She started to share with me the things that had changed as far as shaken baby syndrome was concerned. And it didn't take a lot of thought to see where, okay, if that's the case, then the foundations of our case against Robert are falling apart.
So what had happened is today we listened to some doctors, some scientists actually testify here, and one said that if you shake a baby that hard, it would break the baby's neck. His argument is that this diagnosis really isn't that credible. Separately, some people say the diagnosis may be credible, but it just can't be used in criminal cases because it's too difficult to prove. I do want to note that the American Academy of Pediatrics still recognizes shaken baby syndrome as a subset of abusive head trauma. Lindsay?
What's next for him? Is he out of options?
He really only has two options left. His lawyer told me that she's appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. She's waiting for that reply. But the one person who could pause Robertson's execution is Texas Governor Greg Abbott. He could issue a 30-day reprieve. Since Abbott became governor, 76 inmates have been executed. Only one has been granted clemency. Robertson is scheduled to die in 24 hours by lethal injection.
Now, that was yesterday.
Nikki Batiste, thank you.
Okay, so where I want to go through, okay, and that's a lot of it, and that's where Christola, where I'm coming right now, is looking at this, is they were moving forward with the execution, and where the Project Innocence project was coming into is looking at this and saying, you know what, there's enough questions now. We need to make sure that we clear all these questions before moving forward. So when I first saw this case this morning, and literally I have maybe looked at this case for an hour, that's it. Okay, but it's enough. You know what? If you're going to take someone's life, and I personally am pro, okay, death penalty, you do something, okay, like, no, you need to pay that way, okay? But in the same thought process, we need to be sure. And if the lead detective themselves is questioning things, then we may want to just kind of go back. Yeah, and exactly, Christola. We all have our own opinions and thoughts on things. Life is precious. Okay, a person's life is precious. And before we take that life, we want to make sure. So let's read through this real quickly. what we do know has happened, and this is going to kind of break down all of this, is that he was not executed last night. Now, he has not been found innocent. He's still on death row. He's still awaiting execution. But the legislature locally has decided we need to find out a little bit more before we move forward. And so the Texas Supreme Court halted the scheduled execution of Robert Leslie Roberson III late Thursday night, an extraordinary development in one of the year's most controversial death penalty cases. The 57-year-old Texas man was set to become the first person in the U.S. to be executed under the widely criticized shaken baby syndrome hypothesis until the state's highest civil court intervened. Now, I'm stopping this right here to say, guys, I personally know, okay, doctors have said, now whether or not it is a diagnosis itself or a subset, the whole idea of shaken baby syndrome does come from reality. You shake a child enough, you can cause brain damage. You can, all those things. So we need to remember that. This is not saying, this is just a make-believe diagnosis. In my eyes, no. Okay, but we need to still make sure, okay, it's real in this case. Okay, the order capped a head-spinning week of legal maneuvers initiated by a bipartisan group of Texas lawmakers. Gretchen Sween, Roberson's attorney, called the turn of events unprecedented. Quote, I'm not aware of a legislative committee ever issuing a subpoena to ensure they could obtain testimony from someone facing imminent execution, Sween told the Washington Post on Friday. So this is how it kind of came across on Wednesday. So day before yesterday, Texas Democrats and Republicans on the House Committee of Criminal Jurisprudence voted unanimously to subpoena Roberson for an October 21st, so I think that's Monday, hearing in a last-ditch effort to stave off his Thursday execution. So basically what they're saying is we as, okay, the Legislative House Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence want to speak with this guy and hear the full story, everything that we can gather to make sure that this is, okay, the right move, or does it need to go back, or whatever they decide at that point. Okay. On Thursday, yesterday, state representatives Jeff Leach and Joe Moody requested a temporary restraining order against the Texas Department of Criminal Justice and the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Correctional Institutions Division, seeking to block the execution so Roberson could testify. So first they're like, we want to talk to him on Monday. However, he was going to be dead by Monday. So that's when you had both two of the representatives, one Republican, one Democrat, step up and say, okay, we are asking for a temporary restraining order to prevent the execution because we can't question him if he's dead. Travis County Judge Jessica Mangrum granted the temporary restraining order less than 90 minutes before he was scheduled to die, validating the lawmaker's subpoena and effectively halting the execution. The Texas AG office appealed to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, which vacated the lower court's restraining order over the objection of the four of the justices. Texas lawmakers then appealed to the state Supreme Court, which then Supreme Court from Texas comes in and says, okay, yes, we are granting emergency relief. The execution needs to be halted until he can be questioned. So that's how we found ourselves today, if that makes sense. Okay, and Christola, that's where I think it's important, okay, is if they're saying there's doubts, even after there's a jury vote and stuff like, okay, we have to give them that, especially when you're talking about the death penalty. Okay, that tells you everything when it comes down to it. DA has the decision to take to trial to charge it. Yeah. And you know what? If he's guilty, he still needs to be held responsible for his actions. But let's find out what's going on here. And I think that's where a lot of the petitions and all is, that there were enough questions that people had concerning this is a 20-year-old case. So, background on this case. Roberson was convicted in 2003 for the death of his 2-year-old daughter, Nikki Curtis. Roberson found his daughter unresponsive the morning of January 31st, 2002, and took her to the hospital. Doctors there determined, okay, remember I mentioned the triad, symptoms of brain swelling, bleeding on the brain surface, and retinal bleeding, which were the result of shaken baby syndrome, and that the child had been abused. Okay, initially you form that triad, okay, a brain swelling, bleeding, retinal bleeding, things like that. You're like, shaken baby, there's your diagnosis, shaken baby syndrome. Okay, so it got reported as that. Lawyers for Roberson said Nikki was a chronically ill child who had presented with a fever and other symptoms in the days before her death, which they said resulted from complications from viral pneumonia. I think I heard also she had bacterial pneumonia also, and don't quote me on that, but I think I read that somewhere also. Police arrested Roberson relying, quote, solely on an affidavit provided by a pediatrician at the Children's Medical Center in Dallas, where Nikki had been transferred, according to court records. Brian Wharton, the supervising detective in the case, now backs Roberson's innocence claim and said, so this is the supervising detective who's now questioning things also 20 years later, and said other explanations for the child's symptoms were never explored. Investigators presumed Roberson was guilty based on his lack of emotion and flat affect, which lawyers said are due to him being on the autistic spectrum, his neurodivergence, which was not diagnosed until 2018. So we're getting other things that are kind of coming into all this stuff. Okay, how many times do we hear from people, well, so-and-so is guilty because they didn't cry or stuff like that. We recognize, everyone does respond differently. What his lawyers are saying is that he is on the spectrum. And because of that, his way of coming across in a situation like this is not going to be the way a lot of people think it's going to be. Quote, the wrongs that were done were so palpable and the new evidence was so overwhelming, but that there's just a complete lack of interest in reconciling those past mistakes, Sween said. Okay, 4 years, doctors have been trained to presume that brain swelling, bleeding on the surface of the brain, and bleeding behind the eyes, known as the triad, could be explained by violent shaking or shaken baby syndrome, again, which is real in my eye, okay, and many, many doctors. Okay, I'm not a doctor. Many doctors do still say it is real. In the 90s, the American Academy of Pediatrics declared shaken baby syndrome a clearly definable medical condition and encouraged physicians to immediately report any suspicion of head injury caused by shaking to the physicians. And I guarantee you, it's probably saved many lives that things have been reported. Since Roberson's arrest, however, research has emerged showing diseases, genetic conditions, and accidents such as pneumonia, birth trauma, and a short fall can produce the same triad of symptoms. The reliability of the shaken baby diagnosis has come under greater scrutiny in court cases. Since 1989, at least 34 people convicted under the shaken baby syndrome hypothesis have been exonerated, according to the National Registry of Exonerations. And that's where a lot of this stuff is coming together. Costola is saying, but so can lack of oxygen, like SIDS. Yeah, exactly. But so can a smothering. There's a lot of things, and that's what's important, and where some of the concerns are, especially when you have the detective saying, we went in thinking this is what it was, and we really didn't look at anything other possibilities, which is what we're hearing that detective saying now. In 2009, the AAP renamed shaken baby syndrome as abusive head trauma. a broader diagnosis that recognized injuries can be inflicted by factors beyond just shaking. Does he have a new execution date? Roberson does not have a new execution date. Spokesperson for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice said in an email Friday morning. New execution dates are requested by the prosecutor's office that oversaw the original conviction. If Anderson County District Attorney Allison Mitchell, whose office convicted him in 2003, requests a new execution date, one will be set no sooner than 90 days in the future. So if I'm reading this right, it looks like there's been at least a 90-day stay, if I'm reading this right. How did a death penalty case end up before the Texas Supreme Court? Okay, and then they just go into here, okay, talking about how, okay, and they were looking at how can we get this looked at? They were asking for stays, things like that. All that wasn't happening. So the next step was, okay, the legislature wanted to question him, but they had to make sure he was alive to question him. And with the timing of it, this is what happened. Roberson is set to testify Monday, and we will talk about this on Friday. Hopefully we'll have an update on it for next Friday's True Crime Update. Before the House Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence about his perspective on the investigation, prosecution, and appellate proceedings in his case. Representative Brian Harrison, a member of the committee, said the hearing will include discussions about how state courts are applying a unique law known as the junk science writ, which provides a pathway for defendants to seek relief if they can show their original convictions were propped up by flawed science. Roberson's case is the type that quintessentially should have been captured by this type of law, Harrison told the Post on Friday. We cannot execute somebody when there's never been an argument about their innocence. Representative Lacey Hull, another of Roberson's supporters in the state house, said his in-person testimony will allow lawmakers and the public to better understand what happened in his case and why the junk science law was not followed. I've never heard of this junk science law. It's interesting. I got to read a little bit more into it. So yeah, we'll see. I think they do stays case by case. If they find anything now, they can extend it. Okay, that makes sense. We want Robert to testify because no one else can speak to that experience except for him. Will he still be executed? His lawyers continue to fight for a permanent execution reprieve and exoneration. Whether a new execution date is requested will be determined by the DA. There's no law forcing DAs to set an execution date. It's totally their discretion. If Roberson receives a new execution date, he will have another chance to request clemency from the Texas Board of Pardons and Parole, which denied his petition earlier this week. Texas Governor Greg Abbott can grant Roberson an execution reprieve only with a favorable recommendation from the board. Okay, though he is also not compelled to act. The governor can only grant a one-time 30-day reprieve if the board does not recommend clemency. So there's a lot of ins and outs. As you're reading this and kind of playing it out in your head, there's reasons why things happen in the order that they do. Okay, Greg Abbott, okay, granting this, he's only allowed the one time, so you want to make sure it's the right, okay, being done at the right time. A lot of different ins and outs and moving pieces for sure. Swain was not optimistic about securing clemency through a board recommendation, citing their past denials. If ever there was a case that would garner sympathy from the board and they voted against us, we don't want to be in that position again. So let's see, Christola is commenting, junk science doesn't make sense to me because that's definitely a possibility because it's like having a concussion. Think about that. It's basically a fatal concussion because, yeah, and that's honestly why I'm like, even covering this case worries me because I've seen children who have ended up in nursing homes for the rest of their life due to, being shaken or mistreated in ways that have led to permanent disabilities. And they will never be the same child ever again because of it. On the other hand, if there are other things, okay, nothing in these two articles here, but I did read some stuff about medications that she had been on that nowadays actually DNA proof that no, they didn't do it. It was someone else. Okay, so you have to always be there, keeping an eye on that. So we'll see what happens with this. No sound. You're not getting any sound from me? Hey guys, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me or not. And hey Seamus, welcome. By the way, it's interesting as to why Paxton was adamant to have I'm executed last night. Also, the Board of Pardons and Paroles unanimously rejecting after that. Awesome, jurors. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how this all comes together. Again, if he's guilty, oh, it was just a cutout, Crystal, that's good. It's one of those cases where education is important. It's important that everyone is given the chance to be heard completely, no matter what it is that they are sharing, to ensure in the end, if someone's life is taken from them because of their behaviors, it is truly because of their behavior and what they did. Okay, this is truly one of those, okay, shaken baby syndrome happens. Like I said, I've seen children who will never live a normal life because of that. Okay, as a long-term care administrator, nursing home administrator, I've seen it. And so, hey, Rachel, we got a bunch of you popping in now. Hey, Kathleen, you can hear me? Awesome, thank you. And Rachel's in the house. And you got it. Thanks, Seamus. By the way, thanks for your comment, by the way. So we will see what happens next Friday. Hopefully we will get some more information as to whether or not it is, okay, shaken baby syndrome connected to it. Like I said, I haven't gone deep enough to really be able to say yes or no in this case. And but it's definitely something we need to look into. And that's it. That's it, Seamus. It takes an open mind to understand these. And that's the thing. A lot of times it's hard. Well, we see it with the detective in this case. I kind of saw it there. The detective, from the interviews that I've seen, he's like, you know what, that we came in and we were told this. So we kind of went ahead with this idea that, oh yeah, it was him. He did this. He shook her. He killed her by shaking her, and they didn't look for other possibilities. And that is what needs to happen. That's what the police job is to make sure they are covering all these and not just trying to prove this happened, but to ensure that nothing else is going on. And okay, I've got my mic pointing towards me. So let me know if anyone else is having any other issues with things. It could also be my Crisp and the dogs barking and cutting me in, but let me know. Oh, there was a buzzing with it. Okay, let me try to find out. Okay, let me know if it continues. We will find out. So that gets us through the first case of Robert. I'll give you an update next week on that. Hopefully Monday we'll have some more. I will definitely let you guys know if I hear anything on Monday through the community tab. So keep an eye out on the community tab for that. So next thing, yep, and there goes the dog barking again. Let's switch over to our Kansas moms who were killed, gosh, what, 9 months, 10 months ago, something like that, almost a year. We're coming up on a year very quickly here. Many of you guys may remember, put a 1 in chat if you remember the story of Veronica and Jilian. But on Tuesday, we've been following this about, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we had one of the people involved in their death, their murder, actually had waived their right to a speedy trial, the preliminary hearing, and all. We now have our second person to do it. This time it's Cora. Cora Twombly has, as of Tuesday, waived her right to a preliminary hearing and speedy trial. And if for those of you who don't remember, we had these two were killed by wacko creep. Oh my gosh. A grandma who could give a shit about her grandchildren, in my eyes, to be honest. Because she's basically ruined her grandchildren's lives at this point. And the person who actually ended up giving police the clues that they needed was the Twombly's daughter. The Twombly's have a teenage daughter who knew what had happened, and she went to the police. One of the bravest teenagers I can see, to be honest. So this here is Cora, the teenager's mom. And so now we have two people who have done this. Paul Grice is one and Cora is the other. Twombly is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder in the deaths of Butler and Kelley. The 2 women disappeared in March while they were on their way for a supervised visit with Butler's children. If you remember, Jilian was coming along to supervise the visit when they were grabbed by this group and killed and disposed of, basically. Twombly was one of 4 suspects originally arrested in April. 10 days later, Paul was arrested. Here's the picture of Paul. He also has waived his right to a preliminary hearing back in September. Both of them will have their next court date on February 19th, while the other 3 will have their preliminary hearing, December 17th. So that is Tiffany Adams, the grandma from hell. Tad Cullum, and then Cole Twombly, Cora's husband. The 3 are facing the charges, including the 2 counts of murder in the first degree with deliberate intent, conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree, 2 counts of unlawful removal of a dead body, 2 counts of unlawful desecration of a human corpse. So I will be, also Adams, Tiffany grandma, is facing 2 counts of child neglect in connection with the children that were at the house. Taking a look right now. Got it. Okay, so something's going on really, really weird with my connection. I don't know what it is, but something's going on with my connection. So hopefully things will be fine. Like I said, I may go back to, I don't want to go to StreamYard because it costs too much money, but we'll see what happens with it. So, so that's where we are on Cora Twombly. Moving forward now, let's move on to Elijah Vu. A lot of us, I'm not sure how many, I'm not sure Sleuth might still be going over the paperwork. Let me check if she's still going through the paperwork or not. We're going to go through it ourselves here, though. Yeah, she is still live over on her side looking over the same paperwork. And however, we're going to go through real quickly the new criminal paperwork for the arrest charges with both Katrina Baur and screen share looks perfect now. Okay, perfect. And Jesse Vang. So what I'm going to do real quickly is, let me pull this up. I'm trying to close windows as I'm going through things to open things up a little bit more. And then last, once we go through this, we'll go over Suzanne Simpson. So let me ask you guys in chat. Put a 1 in chat if you have been following Elijah's case. Put a 2 in chat if you have not. A lot of you may remember back when the first set of arrests came together and Jesse Vang was arrested. We went over some paperwork, some of the reporting about, one second, let me just make sure I've got the right one here. Okay, about Jesse Vang and the criminal complaint surrounding his arrest at that time. And it was sickening. It was beyond sickening what we were hearing about. That's when we learned that little Elijah, actually, I'm going to pull up Elijah's picture up in the corner for this one just because this is about Elijah now. And let me pull this over here. Hopefully that works. Okay, let me real quickly so we can go through this. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go through this. Yeah, when we first did this, we found out Cristola's a 1, and we found out in this case, this little boy's mom had actually handed off one of the greatest gifts God can give us to this monster who was going to teach a 3-year-old little boy how to be a man. That alone was horrible enough to see what was going on with that. But now as we start going through the latest stuff, and both are now in jail. Okay, they both had bond and stuff like that set up earlier today. However, let's go through this. So right now, as for the counts, now this is as to Jesse Vang. We have 1 count of physical abuse of a child, repeated acts causing death. Okay, and I'm not going to go through all of this stuff, okay, but to give you an idea here, the maximum term for imprisonment for the underlying crime may be increased by not more than 2 years if the prior convictions were for misdemeanor. Okay, count 2, hiding a corpse, and we do know since then his body was found, and that's why as soon as they found his body, we knew these were coming. It was only a matter of time. Okay, I'm happy in this case that Katrina is being held responsible too. Okay, you guys know how I feel right now in the Madeline Soto case. It's frustrating me beyond all get out that Jennifer is not being held responsible on any level for anything that happened. And I keep waiting for that to change. And I still hope that we are going to find that out sometime. And so second count is the hiding a corpse, which is a repeater. Count 3, obstructing an officer. Okay, and then as to Katrina now, we have chronic neglect of a child, consequence being death. Count 5, which is neglect of a child, specified harm did not occur and a child has a disability. Okay, remember we are dealing with some autistic issues here with this. Sorry, I got to pop Mama's attention. And we are going to go more detailed, but I'm going to wait and get into the actual investigation to go through that. Count 6, obstructing an officer. Count 7, obstructing an officer. Now the probable cause. So the complainant alleges he is informed by the reports of Megan Klumpian and Jacob Glaser, known to be complainant to be officers with the Two Rivers Police Department. Michael Herman and Nate Stieber, known to be complainant. Okay, so we're going through all the things. Yeah, bullshit. Exactly, Cristola. Okay. On February 20th, 2024 at 10:59 a.m., officers from the Two Rivers Police Department were dispatched to 3918 Mishicot Road. I cannot believe it. My mom just came home. You know what? I'm going to ask you guys, talk among yourselves for a few seconds. My mom does not have her key and needs me to open. I'll be right. Okie doke. Sorry about that, guys. And I don't need my earbuds though at this point. So let me go through what was Cristola saying in chat. Let me go down. I think anything that can be proven involving a child's death should be fully. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yes. And I mean, wait till you guys, and I know Okay, Cristola is wonderful at the whole thing with trigger warnings, so thank you, because this is definitely trigger warnings below. So let me see, where was I? Okay, on February 20th at 10:59 a.m., okay, they received a call reporting, okay, Elijah missing. The caller, Jesse Vang, reported that a child he had been babysitting had gone missing. We all can remember that he said he had fallen asleep, and when he woke up, victim child 1 was missing. He then called 911. Elijah was believed to be wearing black or gray sweatpants, a dark colored long sleeve shirt, and dinosaur shoes. Victim child 1's winter jacket was still at the residence, and he was possibly carrying that blanket that we have seen him carry it with this one picture. Hey, Sleuth Mom, love you, my dear. Sorry I had to leave. Normally, I could have actually pushed off my live, but tonight's a rough one. And I was telling everyone earlier, I got to actually do a video recording for a movie that's coming up soon. So, but love you, my dear. And yeah, Crystal has been, actually, we had a couple other people pop in, which was really wonderful. So, but we had just finished. For those of you coming in, if you go back to the beginning, we did do updates on, I'm getting the little update saying Sleuth Mom and her viewers have just joined. We are right now moving on to what you guys were just talking about. So this would be a wonderful time if you go and rewind to the beginning, and you can get caught up on Robert Roberson, which is a man who was supposed to be executed last night for shaken baby syndrome death of his child, his 2-year-old. We did an update on that. We just finished an update on Cora Twombly. And now we're moving on to Elijah. So would love to hear your guys' thoughts on Elijah also, if you want to just continue with that, because now you've got a little inkling on what's going on with this. So yeah, how you doing, Libby? Hello, hello, hello. I hope you're having fun getting ready for Christmas and crafts and stuff like that. Libby does some good stuff. Good stuff, by the way. By the way, I've been working on all of my stuff lately. So it is definitely craft fair time. So, okay. And thank you for the warnings, Cristola. There are definitely a lot of very frustrating things we're going to be looking at here. Okay. Let's see. So Vang informed the police that he resided at the apartment with child number 3, who is a nonverbal autistic 15-year-old son, and victim child 1, who is Elijah. Let's see, stated that Elijah's mom, Katrina, resided in the Wisconsin Dells area and and his father is currently incarcerated. Baur is Vang's girlfriend. Vang initially identified Elijah as his nephew, but then clarified that there is no blood family relation. Vang indicated that Elijah had been staying with him for as much as a week at a time and would go back and forth between him and Baur. Okay, so up to this point, we really haven't, nothing majorly new. It's the stuff that we kind of, Katrina was allowing, Jesse to teach her son how to be a man. So he was staying over with him at times, things like that. So now we get into the actual interviews. At approximately 1 p.m., Detective Herman and Detective Lieutenant Jacob Blaser interviewed Vang at the apartment. At the time, Vang was in possession of the child 3, the teenager's cell phone, and had it on speakerphone. Baur was identified as the party on the open line, so we now know Katrina was on that phone. Baur indicated she was driving to Two Rivers from the Wisconsin Dells area with her 6-year-old daughter, victim child 2. Victim child 2 is also diagnosed with autism. Baur stated victim child 1, Elijah, was staying with Vang as he is helping her out as a male role model. Vang was asked about victim child 1's behavior issues. Vang explained that Elijah had been wearing his sister's dresses and walking around on his tippy toes. Detective Herman asked what bad behavior he exhibited, and Baur interrupted and said that victim child one, Elijah, had been aggressive towards his sister and would steal things at the store. This is a 3-year-old. Okay. I am sorry. 3-year-olds will pick things up. That's where we come in as the adults and start teaching them this is when we do it. But you know what? There's ways of doing that. And what I can't believe is that when they ask about bad behavior, and Jesse's idea is, well, he was wearing his sister's dresses and walking on tippy toes. Those were the bad behavior he's popping up. So you can see immediately, okay, she's popping in, Katrina. Okay, it's sounding very much like Soto, where it's excuse for his behaviors. Okay, so she's jumping in to make sure that they realize, oh no. He was being a bad kid. This is what he was a little criminal deviant who would steal things at the age of 3 at the store. And Vang stated that Elijah is afraid of him, then corrected himself and stated that, oh well, he respects me. Vang stated that he put Elijah here as punishment for his bad behavior. Vang stated he had to play the bad role. Vang said he disciplines Elijah with timeouts, takeaways such as no pizza, no ice cream, and withholds milk as punishment as well. Vang further said that Elijah is scared of cold water, and he would give Elijah an ultimatum and ask, do you want cold water? Vang denied following through with these ultimatums. Keep that in the back of your head. Sleuth Mom is saying, that sounds so, oh, what's sleepy? I just saw that. You've been sewing. I gotta go check. I saw some of the bags that you were doing. They were adorable. The Halloween one was absolutely adorable. Yeah, pop-ups are so much fun to work with. I mean, they're fun. You get to meet all sorts of people too, which is nice. So, Christola just popped up with, let's see, what was that there? Am I the only one that puts myself in the children's shoes and am terrified for them? Because that is where my fears come from, not how I would feel, what they are and what they could be going through. Yeah. And that's the thing. We were talking over on Sleuth how a child, he's smiling. This kiddo is smiling all the time, nonstop. A child sees nothing but love, even in the people who are punishing him. They see nothing but love. And yet he's being treated like shit when it comes to these two adults in his life. It's sickening. Okay, Vang also indicated he makes Elijah stand as a form of punishment. Vang said he will tell Elijah to just stand there. Vang states, following a shower yesterday, Elijah just stood in the room with him. When asked if Elijah was being naughty yesterday, so he was made to, when asked if he was being naughty, and that's the reason why he had to stand, Vang said no. Okay. Vang indicated the point was to make Elijah hate being there. Vang stated he napped for 1 to 2. What gets me with that whole thing is it's like the poor kid didn't even do anything to lead to that. It's just, well, I want you to hate standing in that place, so I'm going to make you stand there. Whether you're good or bad, you're going to stand there because I just don't want you to like it. Yeah. I hope this, okay, Vang is getting to stand in certain areas and get treated in certain ways and stuff like that and taught how to be a man himself. Vang stated he napped for 1 to 2 hours. Vang said afterwards his brother, AJ Vang, stopped by around 2 p.m. and stayed for about 30 to 40 minutes. Vang said Elijah was in a timeout and stayed in his bedroom while AJ was there. Vang said after dinner, around 5 or 5:30, he talked to Katrina about watching a movie. Vang said he talked to Katrina on the phone a lot, almost 24/7. Hey, Oscar, how you doing, my dear? Detective Herman asked where Elijah was at that time. And Vang said, mostly he's just quiet. He stands there. Well, duh, you told him to stand there. Okay, and he's scared of you. You already said, oh, yeah, he's scared. Oh, well, no, he respects me. And so, of course, he's standing there. Detective Herman asked if victim child one sat down at all, and Vang replied, he can, yeah. I usually make him stand up and pray. Vang added that he will tell Elijah to hold his pray, or say, good boy, or sorry, mama. You know what? I'm going to just say this right there. When you see the rest of this poor little guy, all he ever did was talk about how I'm sorry. Okay. Or good boy, good boy. He would say good boy, good boy, good boy over and over to the point where good boy was just words for him. And he knew if he said good boy, maybe someone would be happy with him. Vang stated he is trying to make Elijah understand that going home is a privilege for him. Vang said Elijah was good between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. yesterday. He confirmed he made Elijah stand for 2 to 3 hours without sitting. You try to get a 3-year-old to stand still for 10 minutes. And this poor kid did it for 2 to 3 hours standing in one place. In the event Elijah would try to sit down, Vang said he will say, you want cold water? Vang added that Elijah's fine, and it's not like his knees are shaking and about to fall over, you know. Okay, Crystal, I'll definitely have to take you know what, I'm going to unplug this real quick and see if that helps. Since I'm not using that right now, hopefully that'll help. If not, I will have to look through everything. Let me know if the buzzing comes back. Okay, added that Elijah's fine. Okay, and it's not like anything's going on. You go ahead, Libby. Sleep well, my dear. You got your earbuds. Enjoy the earbuds. Hopefully I put you to sleep. I'm good at doing that usually. I'm really good at it. Talk to you, Libby. Vang continued to detail events from the day before. He said that Elijah and child number 3 ate dinner. Later after dinner, he watched a movie. Vang watched a movie on Netflix called Ready Player One. At that time, Vang put Elijah in punishment and had him stand in the corner by the bed near him. As Vang spoke, Baur interrupted and indicated that she felt the questions were irrelevant and asked, do I need an attorney? They knew. They knew right from the get-going. Okay. In fact, I will be honest with you. I have a funny feeling Katrina had a much better inkling of the level of trouble they were in than even Jessie knew. Okay, and she's trying to, popping it up. Here we go again. Okay, Jennifer going and telling Stefan about getting lawyers and stuff like that. Now here we have this all happening again. Okay, here she is at a time where her son is missing. You got to remember this. We have found Elijah now. But at the time this was going on, okay, she still had a missing son. And she's more worried about, oh, well, I think that's an irrelevant question that he made him, stand while watching a movie. And Vang said as he watched the movie in his bedroom, Elijah usually stands at the foot of the bed praying. Vang described his praying as having the palms of his hands together in front of him, and that he has also been teaching him to say, okay, mommy. Vang said he felt he had to play the bad parent. Vang said he let Elijah go to sleep around 8 to 8:30. So again, from 5 o'clock to 8:30. Crystal, these people take punishments that are supposed to be okay, and they take them to the extreme, exactly. Vang indicated the victim, Elijah gets pretty tired from standing. Yeah, I would too. And he spoke with Katrina on the phone until around midnight. So she knew what was going on that whole night because they were on the phone most of the time. Vang indicated he woke up around 7:30 in the morning on the 20th, February 20th, and got child number 3 ready, the teenager ready for school. Vang said he was gone for about 6 minutes to bring child number 3 to the bus stop at the end of the parking lot at 7:55. He said when he left, Elijah was still sleeping, and when he returned, he moved Elijah to his bedroom. Vang said he took a nap for 2 hours, and when he woke, Elijah was gone. Detective Herman asked questions about the clothing Elijah was wearing and Elijah's blanket. Vang said to Katrina, quote, "They are interrogating me. I told you they would." Baur then stated, "I know. That's why I said, do I need an attorney?" They are so worried at this point. They know what's going. I mean, it's that guilty. You can see that guilty thought going on right now. Oh my God, we're in trouble here. Okay. Well, why are you talking to us about all this? You should be focused on finding him and all that. Okay, it's this guilty conscience thing going on already. Detective Herman advised he was only attempting to obtain information. The detective then suggested, let's take a break, and he stepped away to make a phone call while Detective Lieutenant Glaser remained in the apartment. Detective Herman did review the recording of the time he was out of the apartment. Detective Glaser asked if there was anywhere Katrina thought Elijah might go. Katrina indicated the Dollar General store. Can't remember how far that was away. Okay, or the White House I used to live at off of VV. Baur then stated if Elijah got lost in the woods, she would not know. Vang then stated he felt the questions being asked were making it like he was punishing Elijah too bad and that Elijah would rather just take off. We are really starting to see into the mental thought process going on here with both Katrina and Jesse. Okay, where their fear is more about, oh my gosh, people are going to critique us rather than focus on where Elijah was. And yeah, you can see this all building right now. Detective Herman returned to the apartment and was informed that Katrina was turning in onto Cord W going through Shotel. Baur stated that Katrina stated that she was worried about the river. Vang explained that after the houses to the west, there is a river. Vang stated he wanted to smoke, so he went outside with Detective Herman. Vang later consented to come to TRP, the police department, to continue the interview. He indicated he didn't have a vehicle that was currently running, so Detective Herman agreed to give him a ride. Katrina again asked Vang if he should get an attorney. Vang said he would cooperate, and then he was transported to the police department. So from the get-go, Katrina is scared to death of what's going to come out of Jesse's mouth. She is so worried. It's almost like, when you have a significant other or a friend or something, and they tend to have one of those mouths that just keep talking and they'll keep saying things without realizing what they're actually saying. That's kind of what I'm getting the feeling of here. That she's like, oh my God, he's going to start saying things. He's not going to realize exactly that what he's saying is going to get him into trouble later on down the road. And she most likely knows a lot more, as we're seeing now. Detective Herman, Detective Brett Oswald, and DCI Special Agent S.A. J. Pertzborn continued to speak with Jesse, advising that the goal was to obtain as much detail as possible to aid in finding Elijah. Vang was informed he was not in custody, does not have to answer questions, and is free to go. Detective Herman asked Jesse to continue where they had left off, and Vang advised that after moving Elijah to his bedroom, Vang went and took a nap. Vang said Elijah was praying and saying, "Sorry, Mama," while standing at the foot of Vang's bed. Vang said he woke up after a couple of hours and Elijah was not there, but the door was unlocked. Jesse said he searched for Elijah and then called Katrina, who told him to call the police. Jesse denied taking any sleeping medication that morning, but did confirm he drank a beer after police department arrived this morning. Law enforcement later located a sandwich bag containing, as we say in Hawaii, pakalolo, in a drawer in Vang's kitchen. Vang continued to discuss how he punishes Elijah. Jesse again confirmed that he would punish Elijah by having him stand and pray. It's almost like this use of prayer. I keep thinking of this throughout the last couple months. Their push on prayer. Okay. Oh, I had him praying. Oh, he was told to pray. All this prayer in general gives people a positive thought process. Okay, praying. Okay, oh, I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you. Okay, prayer is connected to positivity usually. So it's almost like in saying prayer over and over and over, it becomes a whitewashing to make them feel better about what they are actually doing to him. Because saying something like, good boy, is not a prayer. That's not a prayer by anyone's definition of what a prayer is. And let's see, let me go back down here. Vang stated that the main punishment was to stand in the corner, face the wall, and pray. Vang said this would be by his bedroom door, and that for the first 2 weeks that he had been there, remember he'd been there for a while, Elijah would pray, and this week, Vang was having Elijah say, sorry, mommy. A prayer. Sorry, mommy. No. Vang was asked if Elijah did anything to have to stand and pray. What did he do to lead to this? Vang stated Elijah is naughty at home and Elijah is with him for punishment, like boot camp. This is done to make Elijah feel like going home is a privilege. This is the first time in my life I've heard of home for a 3-year-old as privilege. Jesse confirmed that this is a plan that both he and Katrina had agreed upon. Jesse was again asked if there was something Elijah did to need the corrective action taken. He replied, quote, the whole time he's here, he is supposed to be on punishment. So he'd been there for how many weeks? And throughout those weeks and everything, sorry, okay. And throughout those weeks, okay, bye. Throughout those weeks, sorry guys, throughout those weeks that he'd been there, he'd been being punished that whole time. And Vang said that Elijah is made to stand for an hour at a time without sitting down. He then said Elijah gets tired. Duh. Okay, standing that long, anyone would get tired. Jesse indicated that victim child 1, Elijah, still wore diapers and that this morning, Elijah would still be wearing the diaper that Jesse had put on him the day before. Right before he had gone to, of course, it was okay with him because of, you know what? He was sleeping and I moved him to a new place. I didn't change his diaper. Why would I need to take a child's diaper? I mean, come on, give me a break. I don't need to change his diaper. No, come on, give me a break. This one gets me to no extent. And he tries to use sleep as the reason why he's not having a diaper change. Okay. Those of you who are parents, were there times you changed a child's diaper because it was so bad? And yeah, the child might be asleep, but you were worried about, okay, skin breakdown, all these other things that could be going on. I mean, you change a diaper. Come on. Let me see where. So like going, okay, it's made, okay. Went to bed. Okay. Vang said Elijah is not potty trained and he's trying to train him. So Jesse said Elijah cannot change his diaper himself. Yeah. Jesse changes Elijah at least once a day, but did not change his diaper today as he was tired. Okay. First of all, how many of us go to the bathroom once a day? Number one. Number two, you go once a day. I mean, you don't need to go to the toilet more than once a day, right? Yeah. That's basically what this guy is saying, is that Elijah only needs changed once a day. And see, and this is where I think, honestly, Katrina knows Jesse is going to get in trouble. because his logic processing, okay, his processing of information and factual information and what makes sense is not there. So he says something that in his mind makes complete sense. But anyone, which also shows me Katrina knows damn better and is trying to cover all that. Vang was asked about toys for Elijah. Vang said Elijah had a set of play tools at the apartment, but was not allowed to play with them in the 9 days he was with Vang. 9 days, no playing. Again, he said, I'm supposed to be the bad parent. Vang also stated another punishment is that the child is not allowed to speak with Katrina, so he can't even talk to his mom. The idea is to deprive victim child one, Elijah, of what he has so he is appreciative of him. So you know what? I'm going to take your mom away from you. That way you appreciate your mom later. I'm going to take diapers changing away so you're appreciative later. I'm going to take milk away from you so you're appreciative later. To a 3-year-old. Okay, expecting this 3-year-old to think through processes like this. Lieutenant Oswald asked Jesse what he thought happened to Elijah. Jesse said, quote, I was thinking right away that he walked to someone who would sell him. Okay, guys, this was a new one. Okay, I don't remember that part. Okay, I remember some discussion, but I don't remember that cell bit, and I may have forgotten completely, to be honest. And but think about that. In all the time you've ever heard of missing children, how often do you hear a parent, okay, within 24, 48 hours of that child go missing, immediately saying, oh yeah, I think they walked up to someone and that person went and sold them. Okay, that's one reason why I actually was worried that they may have done that themselves initially. I was really worried about that initially. And also because of the walking up to people and all that. I remember that. I don't remember the cell part. It's frustrating to that because at age 3, especially if you have a child who's autistic or something like that, which the 15-year-old is, and all this other stuff, you are thinking more like, did they walk away? Did they end up in river, water, something like that? Kind of what we are hearing, okay, Katrina say about water and stuff like that. But he's talking in this other area. It's just weird. Lieutenant Oswald, S.A. Pertzborn advised Jesse that there were still a number of unanswered questions. When asked where Elijah was, Vang stated he did not know, but that, quote, if he had walked out the door, anything could have happened to him. S.A. Pertzborn explained that Vang had a number of inconsistencies in his statement. Vang indicated he was done talking at that point. And he realized he wasn't going to be able to manipulate the conversation anymore. So now the interview of Katrina. At 3:15 p.m. on February 20th, Baur arrived at Vang's residence. This is when he had first gone missing. Katrina said she started dating Vang in November of 2023. So they started dating November 2023. Within 3.5 months, he's keeping children for weeks on end. And has sole custody of a child and all these other things. This is how quickly all this stuff moved. It happened even before that. Baur confirmed to Detective Lieutenant Glaser that Elijah had been with Vang since February 12th and that she had planned to take him back home on February 23rd. Katrina later identified January 2024 as the first time Elijah went to stay with Jesse without her. Baur said this past week was the longest time Elijah stayed with Vang without her being. Baur explained that she could not, Crystal, it's so frustrating. It really is. Baur explained that she could not deal with Elijah's behaviors and that the victim, Elijah does not act poorly around Vang. He's scared to death of him, of course. Katrina described Elijah as being awful and naughty at times. You guys know how I feel. The moment you hear a parent do nothing but bring up the bad stuff about their child when that child's missing, you know that's one of my biggest red flags. Okay, your child's missing and all you can think about are all the negative characteristics about that child. Big red flag. And she described him as being awful and naughty at times. Baur said Elijah regularly threatens to run away. 3 years old. If he does not get what his own way. Katrina said she ordered special locks for her doors because Elijah had gotten out before. She explained Elijah never made it far as someone would see him and stop him. Christola, exactly. What is up with these people dropping their kids with other people, especially men? I mean, yeah, exactly. Baur says she tries to put the behavior correction role on Vang. I want him to be the bad guy. Katrina explained that Jesse was the enforcer of rules in the relationship and that was the reason for sending Elijah to stay with Jesse Vang. Katrina discussed with Vang that as long as there is no physical harm to the child, she is fine with whatever discipline he enforces. Baur gives examples as praying, saying, "I'm sorry, Mama," and going over the 4 rules that Elijah is supposed to be memorizing. Guys, how easily does a 3-year-old memorize things? That's one thing that always got me, is a 3-year-old having to, yes, you are going to give rules. That's part of what happens in pre-K and stuff like that. But I mean, you're talking at a totally different level here. Katrina denied there was anything unusual in her communications with Vang. It's totally normal. Katrina indicated she's on the phone with him all the time. She stated that on February 19th, she remembered having a normal extended phone call with Vang and heard Elijah say, "Hi, Mommy," in the background. She heard Vang tell Elijah to go to bed. She said this would have been around 7:30 or 8 p.m. The interview with Katrina was continued at the police department as Vang's apartment was being secured and processed for evidence. At the police department, Baur was upset and paced back and forth during the interview. She's at the police department. She's not at the safety of one of the locations. Oh, I guarantee you all she's thinking about in the back of her head is, oh my gosh, what are they finding at the house? Oh my, okay, I'm not there to be able to kind of redirect them, things like that. She's a bloody mess at this point. Katrina accused law enforcement of not doing anything to find Elijah. Katrina indicated she spoke with the child on the phone Monday night. She said Vang and Elijah were at the apartment. She then said Elijah kept chiming in on the phone call as Vang was on the speakerphone. She got upset and said law enforcement's line of questioning was trying to incriminate Vang. Baur continued to discuss her concerns with Elijah's behaviors. Again, nothing bad about what Jesse is doing, is saying that could he have gone overboard? Could he? Nothing like that. But all of these negative comments about Elijah. Katrina said because Elijah's dad is incarcerated, she felt it was important for Elijah to have a father figure. Katrina explained she does not want Elijah learning girl behaviors from her. She said Elijah calls himself a girl sometimes and steals and wears, his sister's clothing. She then said Elijah's behavior would always escalate when she tried to correct those behaviors. She then said these issues began when Elijah turned 3. Baur said that Vang saw this behavior on Thanksgiving at her residence within literally weeks of them dating. Vang told Baur she needed to try harder to stop that behavior from Elijah. So you can see immediately at age 3, I mean, he's around his sister. Okay, I can tell you, I had a brother, okay, a brother, sister, girl, boy. We just had one girl, one boy in our family. And my brother would play with dolls with me and stuff like that. That's, you kind of connect in with that other sibling. But you can see where the moment, it almost seems like those were behaviors that she was okay with until he wasn't okay with it. Because you're not hearing about complaints about that or concerns about that before Jesse saw the behaviors. During the interviews, Katrina initially denied being in Manitowoc County on February 16th to 17th. Katrina specifically told DCISA Neil Lofi that she was not in Manitowoc County on those dates. Katrina and Vang's cell phone data contradicted those statements. Law enforcement located messages from Vang to Katrina from February 17th at approximately 6:39 to 6:49 p.m., where Vang tells Katrina that he is angry because Elijah overfilled his diaper. Well, duh, if you're making only one change a day, duh, yeah. Overfilled his diaper, and that Vang gave Elijah a cold shower, what we know he hates. Vang noted that he was clean, but scared. It's okay, though. He was clean. He can be scared, but he's clean. Yeah. Baur later admitted that she had been in Two Rivers. Okay, she's caught now. She tried to talk her way out of it, say, oh, no, I wasn't there the 16th, 17th. Baur later admitted, yeah, I was there on the 16th. I did go see Jesse. She arrived at Jesse's apartment around 11 o'clock and saw Elijah on the couch in the living room. Katrina said Elijah was tired and did not want to talk, but he was fine. That alone worries me. She hasn't been seeing her child, right? Anyone who has a child, and if you're that young and you're away from them for a fairly extended amount of time, hell, even a couple hours, they're usually pretty damn excited to see you. Hell, my dogs are excited to see me when I've only been gone for 15 minutes. And yet he wasn't excited. He wasn't wanting to talk or anything like that. Okay, yeah, I can see him being tired, but a child, once they get excited because they're seeing their mom for the first time in a little bit, the adrenaline takes over. And Katrina said she left at 4 or 5 that morning, February 17th. So got there around 11. Okay, stayed until 4 or 5. This is the time where we're talking about when she left children in the car and stuff like that. A preview from Katrina's cell phone showed an image depicting Elijah wearing an eye mask or blindfold on his face. Elijah appears to have bruising on his jawline and left side of his neck, as well as bruising on his upper left arm. Remember, she's okay with anything as long as nothing physical. Well, we're already seeing physical now. Pictures, too. This duo pretty much have given us all the evidence and photos and videos that they've taken themselves. And the phone data indicated the image was taken on Valentine's Day, February 14th at 3:13 in the morning and deleted at 4:12 in the morning. So it was barely there 59 minutes. So first of all, they're taking a picture of him at 3:13 in the morning. Okay, going and taking a picture of a child at 3:13 in the morning and then deleting it within 59 minutes. Katrina was shown the image and said, oh no, that's an eye mask on him. Those aren't injuries. Katrina denied seeing the injuries on Elijah initially claiming the bruise was just shadows. Katrina later admitted she took the photo at Vang's residence, being their Valentine's Day. Katrina was adamant she took the photo on Friday, February 16th. Remember, she's already gotten caught lying about being there on another day, and not Wednesday the 14th, as the image indicated. Metadata. Baur said the image was originally darker and it must have been altered to show things that were not originally there. I mean, the police, you know what? The police are sitting there editing the images and all, okay, because they're more focused on. Sorry, guys. I got to drop the comments like this in. Let's see. Katrina continued to deny she was at Vang's on Valentine's Day. Katrina was again told the image was taken on February 14th. No talking your way out of that. Baur later said, "Oh yeah, I did go to his apartment on February 14th." Which, duh, do you think this is their first Valentine's Day? What are the chances that a couple that have been dating since November, so what, 4 months, are missing their first Valentine's Day together? Yeah. Katrina explained she did not talk to him that night because he was tired, but she took the picture because he was sleeping cute. Detective Lieutenant Glaser informed Baur he was concerned that Baur had initially denied being at Vang's apartment at all during Elijah's stay. Baur then admitted she made a late night trip to Vang's apartment on February 14th for Valentine's Day. This is the one. Yeah. Katrina continued to assert that's when she took the photo on February 14th. It was dark and she did not see that Elijah had injuries. When asked if Katrina had seen the injuries on Elijah when she visited on Friday the 16th, Katrina said she did not because Friday went very wrong, quote, end quote. Baur said Katrina said she had a panic attack and just wanted to go home. Why is she having a panic attack? Baur became upset when asked to describe what triggered the attack. As she didn't want to discuss it further, Katrina then indicated she had a flashback. Katrina was also asked about messages she had sent to Vang on the teenager's phone while Vang was being interviewed by law enforcement at his apartment, and Katrina was on the speakerphone. Detective Klumpian had previously reviewed the phone and noted at 1:31 while they were all talking, Baur sent a message to Jesse saying, "Stop. Don't say too much. No. Stop. You let him. Shh." And attorney Kay. So all that talking, giving all these excuses and stuff like that while texting privately back and forth, literally with an officer within feet of Jesse. Katrina admitted she sent the messages because she felt like law enforcement was trying to entrap Jesse for drinking and taking medications while watching Elijah. DCI SA Eric Volan further observed messages from Baur to Vang from the time period immediately after Vang called 911 on February 20th to report Elijah missing. Specifically, SA Voland observed Facebook data that contained unsent or deleted messages after the 911 phone call. SA Voland notes that in his prior experiences, unsent messages are messages that were initially sent but then deleted by the user. Interesting there. That's something I had not actually pulled together before in my head. S.A. Voling compared Facebook Messenger records to phone extraction records and noted the following messages were sent but then unsent. Approximately 1 minute after Jesse called 911 at 10:59, Katrina messaged, "Say you guys were taking a nap and he left." At approximately 11:07, 8 minutes later, Katrina messaged Jesse, listen, the way you word things is very important. I need you to call me. She's already worried about how Jesse's going to talk. She knows Jesse is going to say things that are going to point in the direction of the truth. Okay, unwittingly. Approximately 11 seconds later, Katrina messaged, say this is your guys' normal sleeping schedule and he's never opened the door before. Don't say anything about the child lock. So she's already setting up a whole story for him at a time when he should be more, I mean, seriously, she just found out her child is missing and she's more focused on setting up stories than trying to find out where Elijah is. Phone Facebook message records. Cell phones belonging to Jesse and Katrina, including text messages and Facebook messages, were reviewed by law enforcement. S.A. Volan noted that between December 1st and February 20th, there are over 15,000 messages exchanged between Baur and Vang. 15,000 messages between December 1st and February 20th. December to January, 2.5 months, 15,000 messages. S.A. Voland reports some of those messages are as follows. On January 14th at 5:25 and 31 seconds, Katrina asked Vang to send a voice message telling Elijah that he's going to be put in time out. Jesse sends 2 short audio files telling Elijah to listen and ask him if he wanted to go to time out. Jesse then messages that victim, child 1, okay, Elijah, needs a father figure. She needs a break from her kids and that he can show her more tricks. So basically him stepping up and saying, you know what, honey, your son needs a male father figure. He needs a male father, and you're too tired. Okay, he's too much work for you, and I'll take him on. I'll take him on, and I can show him how to do it. That's literally what he just said. Same day at 11:51, so almost midnight, 9 minutes before midnight. Katrina thanked Jesse for helping her with her kids, especially Elijah, because he can, quote, be a toad. Jesse said he can't do much for the daughter, but he can teach Elijah. Thank God. Yeah. January 21st at 7:21 and 45 seconds. Yeah, Crystal, in fact, she knew. She knew what was all going on. Jesse sent a 50-second video showing Elijah, and this is where a lot of the trigger warnings, guys, because it gets worse and worse as we go further and further. Elijah sitting on a couch answering questions from Jesse about what happened with the water. Elijah stated that his sister did it. About 20 minutes later, 19 minutes later, Jesse messages, okay, up to you. It's making it harder on Elijah. Ha, ha, ha. You're breaking him down every time you come in. Ha, ha, ha. Next day, 47 minutes after midnight, so 12:47 in the morning, Katrina messages, is he still up? He responds 10 hours later, actually now, okay, with a 24-second video of Elijah being prompted by Jesse to say phrases that include, I promise, mommy, I love you, sorry, I'm going to be a good boy, no more. By 8 minutes later, Jesse sends a 12-second video follow-up showing Elijah saying, good boy, 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 good boy. How is that teaching a child anything? All that's doing is that's how I train my parrot. That's not teaching anything whatsoever. Okay. So now we are from 11:03, we move on to 2:25 in the afternoon, where Jesse stated, quote, pin this for next time he's bad there. And then he sends a 23-second video showing Elijah wrapped in that red, white, and black checker blanket that we've seen him in, the one in the picture. I think I've got the picture. Let me check real quickly. Yep, the picture right up there. And in that, Jesse prompts Elijah to say, I be good boy, I promise. I don't want to live with Uncle no more. No more, Uncle. I be good. Sorry. Katrina replies, "Aw." And Jesse states, let's see if he'll keep his word. Literally, a child is basically crying in this, saying, I'll be good. I'll be good. I don't want to live with him. I want to come home, Mommy. That's what he's saying there. I don't want to live with my uncle anymore. I want to come home. I'm sorry. And Katrina's response is, "Aw." Some people should not even be a parent. Same day, now we're at 4:20, so a little 2 hours later. Jesse sends a 27-second video showing Elijah whimpering and saying he wants to see Pam. Jesse then messages, quote, he's trying to manipulate me. Vang, Jesse then sends another 6-second video showing Elijah being prompted by Jesse to say, I'm not going to say that word, no more bad word. Jesse then messages that Elijah keeps running out the room door, not the front door, saying, I'm going to be nice. Jesse messages that Elijah was fake crying and that Elijah was definitely spoiled. This baby was far from spoiled. This baby just deserved a little bit of love and care and maybe a hug once in a while. 22nd had a lot here. January 22nd was definitely a lot going on. I think that might have been right about the time when he started staying there and all that. At 5:45, Jesse messaged about Elijah being, quote, a little faker, manipulator, and crybaby. Katrina messages about having a hard time disciplining him. Jesse tells Katrina that she needs to stand her ground. Jesse states that Elijah cries about everything. No, Crystal, and this is everyone. This is a lot of shit to take. Okay? Just one of these types of things should be enough to push us overboard. So anyone, if this gets to be too much, it's okay to leave. If you need to come back, you come back. But you got to take care of yourself first. And January 22nd at 6:56 p.m., Jesse sent a 9-second video showing Elijah standing by the door in Jesse's room. Jesse asks why he is fake crying, and as Jesse approaches, you see Elijah quickly sit down and say, I good boy. So you can see almost a threatening feel there. He is scared of Jesse, from what I'm gathering from this. January 22nd again. This is now 4 hours later? Okay, 10:11 p.m. A 3-year-old. Jesse messages, quote, remember, he's in boot camp, and, quote, I hate that when I tell him to come in the room, he's like, don't hit me. And when I have to pick him up, he's like, ow, you're hurting me. Jesse message, you know what? If a child is coming to you literally with that, he's speaking a truth to you. Okay? This fear that poor little Elijah has as he's coming into the room because all he knows is what's happening. Why is he having to say, okay, don't hit me if there's supposedly no physical anything happening? Right there, we know it's physical. Ow, you're hurting me. That's physical for a 3-year-old. A 3-year-old does not say, ow, you're hurting me for mental or emotional. Katrina messages that since they moved, Elijah is afraid of men. Why? Katrina, come on, think for 5 seconds. Why do you think he's afraid of men? Have you asked that? What's changed? What man has come into his life since then? January 22nd, 10:45 p.m. Jesse sends a picture showing Elijah with the red, black, and white blanket on his shoulders and message, but look who's awake. Katrina messages, my heart, quote, feels like I've been shot. And Jesse messages that he'll be fine. Elijah will be fine. Katrina messages, it's hard on me too, you know, but I know it's what's best. So this is the beginning of teaching a 3-year-old how to be a man. And mom is turning it into all about her. Oh, but it hurts me. It hurts me to watch him do that. Well, then guess what? Let your brain tell you this is wrong and take him home. January 22nd, 11:07 p.m. Jesse messages, quote, his punishment from faking earlier, end quote, and then sends a 15-second video showing Elijah in the dark bedroom saying, good boy, 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 good boy. The police had to put every single one of those good boys in there because they mean something. Each of those were words that this little boy had to say over and over, okay, at 11:07 p.m. Katrina messaged if she can send him a voice message. Mom wants to send her son a message after seeing this message. Vang says, no more seeing him. He freaked out for like 3 hours earlier. So if I'm reading this right, Katrina sent a message, okay, saying something to Elijah. Jesse decides to play it. And poor Elijah was freaked out and upset. Okay, by freaked out, I read that as he was upset and beside himself that his mom is sending him a video or a voice message when he just wants his mom to hold him and come and save him. January 23rd, so the next morning, we've gone from 11:07, okay, to 12:15 in the morning. Jesse messages, okay, he's up. It's his punishment from pissing me off with that fake shit earlier. Ow, don't hit me. Ow, you're hurting me. Fake shit. A little boy who probably was speaking the truth as he was being hurt. But Jesse wants to see it as fake. Jesse sent a 16-second video showing this punishment. Trigger warning, guys. Elijah rubbing his eyes and saying, good boy. Jesse tells Elijah to keep going. Elijah repeats, saying, good boy. Katrina replies, man, I can hear the defeat. A 3-year-old speaks with defeat. 10 hours later, 10:45 a.m., Jesse sends a YouTube link of an annoying sound video and messaged, quote, making him watch this because he keeps crying, saying he wants, saying you you want, so I'm thinking he wants you and his sister. Katrina messages that the video is annoying and thanked Jesse. 3:10 p.m. Jesse sends a 27-second video showing Jesse's hand on Elijah's neck and shoulder. It appears Elijah is crying, and Jesse is telling Elijah to make sad and happy faces. Picture in your head for a second. And the reason why I'm going through all this is this little kid, this little angel had to go through hell on earth. This is hard for us to hear, but it's the least we can do is be there to be his voice and to say no. But could you see that? Hand. Say, good boy, bad boy, good boy. No. Let's see. Okay. 4:35 sends a 5-second video showing Elijah laying on the bedroom floor with a pillow and a blanket and saying, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy. 22:12, so 10:12, okay, p.m. Katrina messages asking if he's still up. Okay, if Elijah is still awake. Jesse replies that he is doing his daily routine of reforms at 10:12 p.m. He is doing his daily routine of reforms. Next morning, 11:21 a.m., Jesse messages that Elijah opened the door and left outside while Jesse was asleep. Katrina reminds him to lock the child lock. Jesse messages that since Elijah was good, he's allowed Elijah to go to the living room, and Jesse fell asleep. Jesse messages, yeah, he's really in trouble today. I trusted him that he was a good boy. Jesse then sends a 3-second video showing Elijah standing in the corner by the bedroom door saying, good boy, good boy. Jesse messages that he's going to be tough on words now, and now I'm saying no more mommy. So he's using his mom as a punishment. January 24th, 4:38 p.m., Jesse messages, this little guy has been crying all day and that he's in time out. Jesse messages he fell asleep around 9 a.m. Well, duh, you've got him doing things at 10 o'clock at night. And then around 10:30 a.m., he heard the door close and Elijah came back in crying. Jesse messages that he let Elijah do fun things yesterday and he betrayed Jesse today. This is all about hurt feelings now. Katrina responded that she's forgotten, quote, many, many times and woke to one, if not both of them gone. So this is not new. That's, of course, why they jumped to the idea of, oh, I think he ran away. He left the house and he just walked away. Okay, both of her children have walked out of the house before. January 24th at 6:45 p.m., Jesse messages that, quote, he found a new punishment for Elijah. He's stepping on my back. Katrina asked to call him, but Jesse said Elijah's going to hear her voice and then cry. Jesse talked about his back hurting and he can't sit for long. So he's going to make Elijah fix his back for him because become his masseuse. At 10:16 that night, again, Vang messages that Elijah is still up. Jesse is not letting him sleep. And Elijah is in timeout today. Next morning, okay, we're 12 hours almost later. Okay, it's just afternoon, 12:44 in the afternoon, and he sends 2 videos, a 7-second one and a 14-second one of Elijah sitting still and not saying anything. Jesse messages, quote, why does he look so lost and sad? Ha, ha, ha. Katrina messages, so sad. And that Elijah is holding in tears. 2:02 in the afternoon, Jesse sends a 25-second video showing a close-up of Elijah's face. Jesse asks Elijah several questions, and Elijah said he'll be a good boy and listen to mommy. Jesse messages, haha, that's Elijah when he sees you tomorrow. 20:53, 8:53 p.m. Jesse sends a picture of Elijah and messages, quote, last day in timeout. Jesse then sends a 12-second video showing Elijah being asked by Jesse if he wants to talk to mommy. Elijah is prompted by Jesse to say, no crying, promise. This kid is too scared to even answer a question at this point. Okay? Jesse asks, okay, if you want to talk to your mom. And this kid is so scared, it takes Jesse to say, no crying, promise. No crying, promise. And then he finally repeats it. Katrina states that he gets so sad. Oh. The 26th of January, 8 minutes after midnight, Katrina messages if Elijah is sleeping, midnight. And Jesse messages, not yet, very soon, midnight. Okay, the night before, we're being told he wasn't even being allowed to sleep. Jesse sends a 13-second video showing Elijah sitting upright, but he appears to be sleeping and his head bobbing. Jesse messages, I won't let him sleep. He's very tired. Katrina messages, I see that, laughing out loud. (27th of January, 12:59 p.m.) Katrina has a video chat. And then Jesse messages, more reason for me to time him out and bring him back again for another week. Katrina messages that she has faith in Jesse. January 28th, 1:54 p.m. Katrina messages, is Elijah staying when I get back, Kay? Jesse messages, yep. And of course he is. He's done for. So he's not allowed to go back, it sounds like. January 29th, 8:25 a.m. Jesse sends an 18-second video showing Elijah standing on the couch, being prompted by Jesse and saying, I miss you, miss sister. I be good boy and no more bad boy. You're told enough as a child that you're a bad boy, bad girl, bad anything, you believe it. That's where mental abuse comes in, emotional abuse comes in. January 29th, 3:45, Jesse messages, he's in stand-up timeout. And Katrina messages how child 3 feels, okay, the teenager, feels about Elijah. Jesse messages that child 3 doesn't care, and child 3 doesn't say anything when Jesse showed Elijah to child 3. I have always worried about child 3 because he's living in that household with Jesse. And he's autistic. Okay, it scares the hell out of me. And January 29th, 5:37 p.m., Jesse sends a video, 35-second video showing Elijah saying, sorry, mommy, and being prompted by Jesse to say, I be good boy and not be a bad boy no more. Jesse then sends a 38-second video showing Elijah sitting on the bedroom floor and crying. Jesse tells Elijah that he keeps lying. Elijah is crying and says he wants to go home. And Jesse replies, no more home for you. You live with Uncle now. His biggest fear probably in the world at that moment is that he's never going to be able to go home and he has to live with this day in, day out for the rest of his life as a 3-year-old. January 29th, 10:40 p.m., Jesse messages that victim child 1 Elijah is learning to be humble. And when he learns his lesson, he gives him a toy. Jesse sends 2 photos showing Elijah sitting on the couch with his eyes closed and hands folded like he is praying. Jesse then sends a 6-second video with Elijah in the same position on the couch. Jesse states, "Keep going." And Elijah states, "Good boy, good boy." Katrina messages with heart emojis. Aww. Jesse asked Katrina if she liked his way of teaching, and she stated that she's amazed by it. This is honestly what I'm seeing here is literally these 2 getting off on punishing her child. This is their relationship. This is how they show love to each other. This is how they show they care about the other. Everything revolves around this poor little boy. And all of that, it's like, you can almost see Katrina like, "Oh, look how much Jesse loves me. He's doing all this for me." And Jesse being like, "Oh, yes, I'm showing her that, you know what, I'm the greatest guy around here. Look at what I'm doing." And she's looking up to me and she's like, "Oh, yeah, she sees it." That's literally what I see happening here. The more and more these messages you see, that's what I can see allegedly in my own head. And go here to the 31st at 10:19 in the morning. Jesse messages that he woke up to some noise, and Elijah had his phone, tablet, and Nintendo Switch. Jesse messages that he was furious, and since Elijah had learned nothing, he can stay longer. He's not going home now. Katrina messages Jesse that Elijah is still a toddler and has temptations. These little moments where the mom comes out for a few milliseconds and is like, "Well, you know, he is just 3 years old. Don't forget that. Please don't forget that." Okay. In your attempt to make him a man, don't forget he's 3 years old. Jesse messages that Elijah's punishment was cold water, which we know this kid hates cold water. January 31st, 11:41 a.m. Jesse messages again that what Elijah was doing. Jesse messages that Elijah is in a standing timeout saying, "Good boy." Katrina suggests allowing him to watch TV not because Elijah needs the break, that Elijah needs this, but because, Jesse, you need a rest. Dear Jesse, you need a rest. And hey, Glitter Forever, how you doing, my dear? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, are you cold? What's the temperature like where you are? Actually, what's the temperature like for everyone? Hawaii, we're not too bad, actually. Actually, I could use that break right there and check my temperature right now. What is our temperature in Hawaii? We are at 88 degrees. Nope, 83. It's dropped since earlier. So I'm not getting cold yet. Nope, not at all. So, but I do know the mainland's starting to get cold. So yeah, Glitter Forever, Elijah, and hearts for sure. And totally. So let me come back here. But that's what gets me. It's like, oh, well, you know what? Let him watch some TV and stuff like that because he's a little boy. He's a little boy. He needs this little break and stuff like that. Okay. Let's see here. 31. Jesse disagrees and he says he can't think because he's so tired. Okay, so yeah, of course, Jesse's going to milk that for everything in the world at that point because hell, he's seeing that Katrina cares about him now. And Katrina stated that she doesn't want Elijah to hurt himself while Jesse is sleeping. And Jesse messaged Elijah, quote, "Hasn't left the room since I told him not to. He's good on that part." January 31st, 4:26 p.m. Jesse messages that he doesn't think Elijah is ready to go home yet and that he is, quote, "done with his line." So this is the guy who's talking about how tired he is and how he can't think and all this stuff, and yet he has no problem whatsoever. Let's keep him here longer. I want to keep Elijah here longer. I'll do this for you, my dear. I'll do this for you, my dear. And anything for you, I'll do it for you. Even though mom's like, let's bring him home. And no. But that's how it looks to me like all of the discussion between the two of them comes down to the discipline here. That's the one thing that they have in connection with each other. It's not their love for each other. It's what they're doing to this poor little boy. 43 degrees glitter is forever. Oh my God. No. When I was in Iceland over the summer for that trip, I couldn't believe how cold it could get. Oh my gosh. So wow. January 31st, 4:26, Jesse messages that he doesn't think Elijah's ready to go home and that he is, quote, done with his lying. Katrina messages asking if Jesse thinks Elijah knows what lying really even is or not. Jesse offers for, Elijah to stay at his place longer. The 31st at 4:35, Jesse messages, yeah, he's a naughty one. He's in baby prison right now. Katrina replies, laughing my effing ass off. January 31st at 10:52, Jesse sends a 10-second video showing what appears to be Jesse lying face down and Elijah with his eyes closed standing on Jesse's back. How did that picture get taken? Was it on a timer? Selfie stick? Jesse is asking Elijah if he is a good boy or bad boy. Are they taking the picture together? I don't know. But if you're literally lying face down, unless the photo is like something like this or something like that, versus, I'm not sure. That's a weird one right there. February 2nd. This reminds me of Gianna's case here in Hawaii, where you had her guardian, mother, father, and grandmother, all guardians, torturing her, punishing her, videotaping all of this stuff. And basically that all became their entertainment. That's what this is reminding me of completely. 21:31, Katrina messages, what's the little guy doing? And Jesse replies that Elijah is sitting on a chair saying, good boy. February 3rd at 2:07 p.m., Jesse sends 2 photos showing what appears to be Elijah, one sitting in a chair folding his hands like he's praying. Katrina messages, he looks mad AF. And Jesse messaging that Elijah was sad, not mad. Jesse then sends a 10-second video showing Elijah holding his hand up to his ear like talking on a phone. Elijah is being prompted by Jesse and says, Mama, come get me. And that's a prompt. That's what's important there. These are prompts here. Hey, tell your mom, come get me, mommy. Mommy, come get me. You're prompting these things. Prompting, Jesse trying to make sure he gets a little response from mom about what a great guy he is for doing all this stuff, allegedly. February 3rd, 2:25, Jesse sends 2 photos with Elijah looking at the camera with his hands folded like he's praying. You know, I almost want to say, instead of praying each time I see the word praying, I want to say pleading. Because this poor kid didn't know what prayer was with this. These were pleas, begging. The 3rd at 6:12, Katrina messages, thank you again for doing for us. And Jesse replies, no problem. Just keep the loyalty and respect. February 4th, 1:41 p.m. Jesse sends an image and a 5-second video showing Elijah lying face down in a pillow and focusing on his ear. Jesse messages that he wanted to watch the video to see if he can hear Elijah breathing heavily. Why is this child having to breathe heavily, number one? Why are you sending stuff like this? Okay, yeah. So those are just some of the 15,000 messages that these two were sending back and forth. Law enforcement further observed messages from February 13th and 14th, which indicated that Katrina had traveled to Jesse's apartment in Two Rivers. At approximately 9:30 p.m., I'm going to stop that real quick. Glitter is saying, I just don't get it. And 2015, she accused Vang and Jimmy Vu of SA and trafficking her out of her hotel room. You know, and that's the thing. There's so much going on with this stuff, and you wonder how much of the different things that are going on are real. Okay. How much of the stuff are manipulation, because we've seen her manipulate other things too. And that's the problem in all this stuff going on. Okay. Her manipulation of trying to make sure no one realized what was going on with her son. And this is where, yeah, I'll get to that with this. At approximately 9:30 p.m. on February 13th, this is the day before Valentine's Day. Remember, when she wasn't visiting or anything like that. Katrina and Jesse were discussing Katrina coming to Jesse's apartment for relations. Jesse tells Katrina, you can't see Elijah. When you get to the apartment, and Elijah can be placed in the bathroom while they have relations. While they have sex. Okay, at approximately 10:12 p.m., Katrina, this is the part where, I mean, it's not just her and him and poor Elijah. There's another child involved at this point. Okay. At 10:12 p.m., Katrina messages Jesse that victim child number 2 can sleep in the car. Wisconsin, February. Glitter was just talking about 43 degrees right now, and I don't know where you live, Glitter, but okay, 43 degrees somewhere in the world right now in October. Think how cold Wisconsin is in the middle of the winter, February, that late at night. They can stay in the car though. She messages that they can sleep in the car. Jesse replies at approximately 11:45 p.m. that Elijah will be put in the living room and that Katrina needs to be quiet walking. Okay, through at 12:39 a.m. Okay, 19 minutes before 1 a.m., something like that. I'm way off here. Okay, yeah. On February 14th, Jesse asked Katrina to send her location so he will know when to put Elijah to sleep. What does he mean by that? I can't. Ohio? Okay, so pretty close. You guys pretty close, okay, temperature-wise. And so she told him to stop investigating, and Jimmy ended up in prison. Yep. There's a lot of stuff going on in this that needs to be taken a look at, for sure. So, but I've always wondered, what does he mean by putting him to sleep? He didn't say, I will make sure he's in the room or stuff like that. If you're literally going to tell someone, text me when you know you're going to be here so I can make sure that they're asleep, are you talking about giving them something like Benadryl or something to make sure they're asleep? Okay, how are you going to make sure that he doesn't hear his mom walking or sounds of talking or things like that? I can't help but wonder if there was something else going on with that. Allegedly, me speculating, completely speculating. So let's see. On February 14th, at approximately 2:27 in the morning, Katrina's phone arrives in Two Rivers. There's a Facebook message between Katrina and Jesse. At 2:35 a.m., Katrina asked Jesse, quote, is there a way to shut off your headlights completely? Wants the lights out completely so no one can tell there's someone in her car. Someone might accidentally walk up and notice a child laying in a car. And then Jesse responds, no, cannot shut off completely. And Katrina messages, I can't find child two's cell phone, but a cop just passed by, so I want to make sure she's good. In other words, a cop just passed by, so I want to make sure I'm not going to get caught. It's not, is the child good? It's, I don't want to get caught. Katrina messages, let me find her phone quick because I need to have some type of sound for her. Jesse replies, probably thinks someone is warming up the car. So their thought is, for those of you like me in Hawaii who don't know, you go before you leave and it's cold outside, and this shows you how cold it is if they're considering this. Okay, you go, you turn on your car and you get the heat warming up the car and stuff like that. That's what they're talking about. Katrina responds, not worth the risk. I'll leave it off for a bit, then turn it on again. Jesse says, okay. Katrina messages, she found the phone, but it's dead. She messages she would leave her phone in the car at approximately 2:40 now in the morning. Katrina questions whether to leave her phone on a phone call or a sound. And Jesse replies, phone. Katrina agrees and tells Jesse to, quote, put yourself on mute right away. She doesn't want the other child hearing them talking. Okay. Or a sound. Okay. Katrina also messages, it should stay warm for a bit, right? She doesn't even know if it's going to be warm enough for her child. That should be your first answer right there. If you got to question it, there's your answer, girl. Jesse responds, okay, and then, yeah, it will. At approximately 3:13 in the morning, Katrina takes the cell phone image of Elijah that we talked about earlier, the one where he's wearing an eye mask or blindfold and has apparent bruising injuries on him. At approximately 4:12 in the morning, the image is deleted. So again, 59 minutes later, she deletes. It's almost like she takes the phone, a picture. And maybe she did take the picture initially just as, oh, I want a picture of him. He's cute. He's my little boy sleeping. I want a picture. And then they realize, oh, he's got bruises. Oh, no, we don't want this picture here. Let's get rid of this now. It's almost kind of what I wonder if that's what's happened. I don't know what would have led her to that. At approximately 4:12, the image is deleted. Katrina's phone leaves Two Rivers at approximately 4:30 in the morning. Okay, so she's not there really honestly that long, to be honest. According to the National Weather Service, and here we go, guys, the low temperature for Two Rivers on February 14th, 2024 was 27 degrees below freezing. The high temperature, not that night, the high temperature for the day was 36. Victim child 2 has been previously diagnosed as autistic. So there is a neglect abuse charge right there. In a review of Facebook Messenger, messages between Katrina and Jesse, officers located a photograph taken on February 15th at approximately 8:24 p.m., which depicts Elijah standing in a corner wearing only a diaper. Elijah's hands appear to be in that praying position that he always is in, and the diaper looks full. Guys, it's full. Anyone who's seen a diaper full, you know what that looks like. It's drooping. You can see the weight of whatever is in it. The photo appeared to be taken in Jesse's bedroom. The phone records further indicate that Katrina returned to the city of Manitowoc on February 16th at approximately 11:01 p.m. She called Jesse's phone around 11:15 and went into a Quick Trip store to purchase items which were confirmed by surveillance video. At approximately 11:21 p.m., Katrina texts Jesse on, ONM, I'm thinking on my way is what she meant, put him to sleep. So there's that again. What are they doing to put him to sleep? Because it's not like make sure he's in a separate room. It's put him to sleep. Jesse responds, okay. Katrina's phone arrives at Jesse's apartment around midnight. At approximately 12:31 on February 17th, both Katrina and Jesse's cell phones moved to the city of Manitowoc. At approximately 12:50 a.m., Jesse went to Saucy's Bar in the city of Manitowoc and went inside by himself. This was confirmed by a patron of the bar. Katrina and Jesse's phones separate for about an hour. During that time, Katrina travels to the Quick Trip located at 2103 South 42nd Street in the city of Manitowoc. Officers are able to view surveillance video from the Quick Trip store. In that video, Katrina can be seen sitting in the driver's seat of the vehicle. There are no children in the vehicle. Approximately 1:45. Where are the kids? Unfortunately, we know. At approximately 1:45 a.m., Katrina is seen making purchases inside the Quick Trip store alone. At approximately 1:55 in the morning, Katrina's phone travels to Jesse's location and they return back to his apartment in Two Rivers. At approximately 5 a.m., Katrina leaves Two Rivers. On February 16th, victim child number 2 was being taken care of by a person in the Wisconsin Dells area. On February 16th, Elijah was in Two Rivers and was supposed to be under the care of Jesse and Katrina. Let's see. Law enforcement has been unable to locate anyone other than Katrina and Jesse who cared for Elijah on February 16 or 17. Okay, on February 18th, at approximately 4:36 a.m., Jesse messages Katrina, quote, I told you to trust me. I'm gonna make sure he hates me and being here. Katrina responds, don't want him to hate you, just fear you. Jesse responds, it's okay. Someone had to be the bad person. Katrina messages, I know, but either way, he can fear you and respect you. Jesse messages, he did fear me, but he didn't respect me. Now I'm making him respect me. On February 19th at 12:21 p.m., Jesse sends a video that was originally created on January 22nd, during which he prompts Elijah to say, I be a good boy, I promise. I don't want to live with Uncle. No more, Uncle. I'll be a good boy, Mom. Sorry. Katrina responds, he looks traumatized, laughing my butt off. First of all, this is a recent video, and she doesn't even recognize that. She's not alerted to the fact that it's a recent one. Okay, but then she's, again, responding in the same way. At 12:28 p.m., Jesse messages that Elijah is in his timeout corner. Katrina replies, good, he deserves it. So now let's go to some of the witness interviews, okay, that have led to the new charges. Investigator Logan Tiachat met with witness 3 of Ross Auto on February 22nd, 2024. Witness 3 confirms that Jesse was present at Ross Auto on Friday, February 16th, with victim child 1, Elijah. Vang was having an ignition interlock device installed on his Chevrolet pickup truck. Don't know if is that the thing for the breathing. I don't know. I need to check that. Let's see. Witness 3 had previously told Detective Herman that Witness 3 found it odd that Jesse repeatedly identified Elijah as his nephew and continuously pushed down the winter cap that was on Elijah's head, almost as if I don't want you to recognize his face. type things. Okay. Witness 3 said Elijah had mannerisms that made him believe he did not want to be there. Witness 3 further stated that Jesse contacted him twice on February 19th by phone as Jesse was upset about his vehicle having a dead battery. Witness 3 explained that an ignition interlock device pulls constant power off of a car battery. Okay, on February 20th now, at approximately 9:21 p.m., Special Agent Zach Holschbach contacted Witness 2 at her residence. Witness 2 resides in an apartment at 3918 Mishcot Road with her boyfriend, Witness 1. So we got 1 and 2 now. Witness 2, the female, advised that yesterday she purchased a 6-pack bottles of Budweiser beer from the Shell gas station on Mishcot Road for Jesse. Okay. Good morning, AP. How you doing? Good morning, or good evening, good evening. I never know what time it is for everyone. So good evening, my dear. She's going and she's buying beer for Jesse. Okay, we know with the car and all that. Jesse had asked her to pick him up the beer because Elijah, quote, was being really naughty. Witness 2 explained that Jesse had told her that Elijah was locked in the bedroom. Witness 2 had seen Jesse lock Elijah in the bedroom in the past. She stated that Jesse told her that he was really stressing out over Elijah. Witness 2 estimated that Elijah had been coming around the apartment for the past month to month and a half. Well, we know now he was pretty much living there for good portions of the time. Okay. Witness 2 said that Jesse was constantly telling both Witness 1 and, Witness and her, so boyfriend, girlfriend, that Elijah was a bad kid or naughty kid. FBI Special Agent Brian Darcy reports on February 22nd, he spoke with Witness 1. So this is the girl's, significant other. Witness 1 did not work on Monday, the 19th. Witness 1 said that he talked to Jesse the day before, the 18th, and Witness 1 stated he saw Jesse in the hall doing laundry at the apartment complex on Mishcot Road. Jesse asked if he could use Witness 1's car. Jesse said he needed to use the car on Monday at 5 p.m. Jesse said he needed to give somebody money. Witnesses reported his vehicle was a 1997 Nissan Altima with license plate redacted. Sorry, 1 second. I just need to check one little thing. I just got something sent to me from family. 1 second. Okay, let's see. Sorry, someone just sent me a text from home. No, dogs, it's not you. Okay. You got it. So going on with that. Sorry, just had to get back to them real quick. On February 19th, Witness 1 gave Vang his car keys. Witness 1 called Vang and then went over to Jesse's and handed him the keys in the hallway. Witness 1 did not see Elijah at all. Okay, this is the day before the 20th. Witness 1 did not see the child on the 18th Sunday either. Jesse was talking about Elijah. Jesse said that Elijah was bad. He was acting up, and Jesse did not know how to deal with it. No problem, Crystal. Sweet dreams, my dear. Sleep tight. Witness 1 believed that Jesse told him this prior to seeing Jesse on Sunday in the hallway, possibly that same weekend. Video canvassing. Sorry, this is a lot of information coming out right now. So thank you for those of you who are sticking it out. And for those of you, I know it's getting late for those of you on the East Coast. So thank you. Video canvassing. Based on Jesse's prior statement that he had been home watching the movie Ready Player One on Netflix the evening of February 19th. Remember, that's the evening, before, Elijah went missing. Law enforcement did review Jesse's phone records and Netflix records. According to phone records, there was no manual operation of Jesse's cell phone or outgoing activity on the 19th between 5:59 p.m. and 7:12 p.m. During that time frame, Jesse's cell phone was located at the apartment. According to Netflix records, on February 19th, an Android cell phone was used to stream the movie Ready Player One. The first streaming began at 5:59 p.m. User action was required to initiate playing the movie. The movie played for an hour and 18 minutes until it was stopped or paused. The movie was then played again at 7:28 p.m. Let me figure out how long is Ready Player One. Anyone know? Ready Player One length. Let's see, how long? 2 hours, 20 minutes is how long that movie is. So he watched 1 hour, 18 minutes of it, stopped it. Movie then started playing again at 7:28. You have to physically hit it, start it up again, and the movie played for 36 minutes. On February 26th, this is a couple weeks later, DCISA Justin Reagan received information indicating that witness one's Nissan Altima was being operated in the city of Two Rivers during the time frame when Vang's Netflix account was playing Ready Player One. This is the friend's car that he asked if he could borrow. Specifically, S.A. Reagan received information that Manitowoc County Sheriff's Deputy Alex Dershel had indexed witness one's license plate at approximately 6:46 p.m. on the 19th while monitoring traffic in the city of Two Rivers. Deputy Dershel was believed to be on Forest Avenue near 24th Street and to the northwest of 22nd Street around that time. As a result, law enforcement conducted video canvassing in Two Rivers. Surveillance video from St. Vincent de Paul from February 19th was obtained and reviewed by DCISA Luquette. At approximately 6:47 p.m., witness one's Nissan, which was being borrowed, is observed operating on Monroe Street, passing the south driveway of St. Vincent de Paul. At approximately 6:47 and 31 seconds, the Nissan is observed passing a black marked police SUV, which was southbound on the Forest Avenue. We'll need to go maybe do another video where we can actually do some map work on all this stuff. And the Nissan continued northwest on Forest Avenue at approximately 7:05 and 38 seconds. Another black marked police SUV squad is observed traveling southbound on Forest Avenue and enters the intersection of 22nd Street. Directly behind the squad is witness one's Nissan. The squad continued southbound on Monroe and the Nissan turned eastbound onto 22nd Street. This would be fun to not fun, but interesting to actually lay out on a map. Then southbound onto a lot of St. Vincent de Paul. The Nissan then pulls along the west side of the building and stops in the parking lot. At approximately 7:06 and 10 seconds p.m., a male, later identified as Jesse, exits the driver's seat. Jesse is then observed opening the rear driver's side door, and retrieving a dark-colored suitcase. Jesse then carries that suitcase and places it on the ground in front of a door on the west side of St. Vincent de Paul. Jesse was wearing unzipped white hooded jacket over a dark shirt, dark pants, white sandals over dark socks. and a dark baseball cap. There did not appear to be anyone else inside the Nissan. If you would even talk to someone else and borrow someone else, I can, but yeah. At approximately 7:06 and 29 seconds p.m., Jesse re-enters the driver's seat of the Nissan and turns northbound onto Monroe Street. The Nissan is then observed stopping at the intersection of 22nd Street and continuing northbound on Forest Avenue. On March 5th, DCI S.A. Volland arrived at St. Vincent de Paul, located at 2117 Monroe Street. St. Vincent de Paul would have been closed at that time. Jesse was observed dropping off the suitcase at the West donation door on February 19th. Law enforcement was able to locate a black medium-sized suitcase that had two distinct zippered storage areas on the front and a rectangular silver Jeep identifying tag on the front near the top of the suitcase. The suitcase was consistent with what was observed on the security video. The suitcase was sent to Wisconsin State Crime Laboratory for further testing. Analyst Erica Stocks performed an examination of the suitcase. Analyst Stocks reports that the DNA swabbing of the interior area of the suitcase resulted in a single source male profile. That single source profile is consistent with the profile from victim child 1, Elijah. The probability of a randomly selecting the observed profile from a population of unrelated individuals is not more frequent than 1 in 1 quadrillion for that to just happen to happen. Analyst Stocks further reports that a presumptive test for saliva was performed on the interior of the suitcase and the result was positive, pretty much guaranteeing that Elijah was in that suitcase at one point. Previously in the investigation, law enforcement did obtain information leading to the recovery of the black, white, and red checkered blanket belonging to Elijah. We all remember that happening in the area of Johnston Drive and Goodwin Road in Manitowoc County. On February 25th, a citizen reported that while walking her dogs, she located the blanket on the ground past the ditch off the south side of Goodwin Road, between Johnston Drive and North 8th Street, next to the wooden post and dirt easement. The blanket was subsequently sent to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab for testing. Analyst Stocks, same person, performed an examination of that blanket. Analyst Stocks reported that the DNA swabbing of the blanket resulted in a single source male profile. That single source profile is consistent with the profile from Elijah. Again, his blanket. The probability of this happening, again, 1 in 1 quadrillion. AP, it is. I keep saying, it's hard to read these things. It is. It's painful to read. It's hard to even acknowledge that people are this cruel, are this soulless, not even heartless, soulless. And it gives a voice, though. Okay, Elijah has his voice. This is his voice. This is the time he's able to speak up and use his voice in the only way he has left. And it's sickening. It is so sickening. Truly, truly. Law enforcement continued to conduct video canvassing in the area of Two Rivers for the evening of February 19th. Law enforcement did obtain additional videos depicting a vehicle consistent with the Altima operating in the area of Two Rivers during the time frame Vang asserted he was at the residence watching Ready Player One. On March 2nd, 2024, DCI SA Andrew Ayala reviewed video obtained from the HD diesel located at 5431 Johnston Road, Two Rivers. The view of the camera faced west and overlooked the parking lot for HD diesel on Johnston Road. One of the video files had a video that was similar to the Nissan. The vehicle passed the business from north to south at 6:21:16. So this Ready Player One was his excuse. Ready Player One was what he was hoping would give him, okay, his reason. And you can leave your phone anywhere and hit a button, hit play. It just starts a timer. And that's what Ready Player One became, was that timer, to be honest. And thank you, AP, thank you. And thank you guys for all your help. On March 6th now, DCI SA Brian Tobridge reviewed security video from a power substation located at 1618 Wisconsin 310, Two Rivers, Wisconsin. The security camera at the substation are infrared, so the video is not in color and detail is minimal due to reflection. SA Trowbridge observed a vehicle traveling eastbound on Wisconsin 310 towards Two Rivers at 6:41 p.m. The vehicle was similar in appearance to the Nissan Altima we've been talking about, Witness One's Nissan. SA Trowbridge spoke with the DCI SA Lindsay Lear, who was reviewing video from a residence on Hawthorne Avenue east of 1618 Wisconsin 310. SA Lear noted a vehicle traveling eastbound past that location at 6:44 p.m. The vehicle was very similar to the Nissan, and the video quality was better. Comparing times provided by SA Lear with those in the video, okay, SA Trowbridge believes the vehicle he described above is likely the same as was seen by SA Lear. SA Trowbridge also reviewed security footage from the Shell gas station located near Jesse's apartment. The security footage was recorded on February 19th. SA Trowbridge observed a vehicle similar to the Nissan passing the gas station northbound on Mishicot Road at 6:49 p.m., southbound at 7:03 p.m., and northbound at 7:09 p.m. In all of these videos, SA Trowbridge observed a tan sedan with an orange marker light illuminated on the front passenger side under the headlight. At 8:49 p.m., Witness One's Nissan Altima is observed entering the gas station on the lower right corner of the video. This identification was made due to the interview with Witness 2, where Witness 2 told law enforcement that she drove Witness 1, okay, her significant other's Nissan, to the gas station to buy the beer for Jesse. When the Nissan enters the time frame, the illuminated orange marker light is visible on the front driver's side under the headlight. Now we're moving on to what really opened this up for the charges to come forward, and that was discovery of Jesse. On September 7th, okay, today is October 18th, Witness 4 and Witness 5 contacted law enforcement after observing bones while walking in a wooded area near Christy Bob Lane in Manitowoc County. A human cranium was observed on the surface with several other bones resting nearby. There appeared to be a sand or gravel mixture near the area where the remains were found that appeared to be foreign to the existing terrain. Okay, so additional gravel and sand added to that area. Dr. Jordan Karsten, a biological anthropologist, arrived on scene and identified the skeletal remains as human. Certain tooth pieces and hairs with root material were subsequently tested at the Wisconsin State Crime Laboratory by analyst Erica Stocks. Analyst Stocks reports that the cutting of apparent root portions of several hairs developed a profile consistent with Elijah. The probability of randomly selecting, again, that amount of sample and matching it to Elijah, again, is not more frequent than 1 in 1 quadrillion. Analyst Stocks reports the washing of discolored tooth pieces developed a male profile consistent again with Elijah. The probability of randomly selecting that profile from a population of unrelated individuals in this case is not more frequent than 1 in 35 billion. Christy Bob Lane is a gravel road located in a wooded area of Manitowoc County. Christy Bob Lane is approximately 1 mile in length, runs along a quarry, and ends at a private residence. Guys, for those of you who are still watching, not gonna be able to do it today, but if you're interested, we can do a follow-up live to this, going through all the maps in connection to this, because there's a lot of locations involved here. Through investigation, law enforcement confirmed that Jesse was familiar with Christy Bob Lane as he had been present at a residence on Christy Bob Lane in September of 2023, last year. S.A. Voland reports he traveled from Jesse's apartment on Mishicot Road to where the remains of Elijah were located on Christy Bob Lane and ends at a private residence. Sorry, Siren, this is taking a lot longer than I thought. We'll see if we can do it tonight. If not, if you need to go to bed, we'll do it on another night for sure, because I know you and I got to get that recording done. So if not tonight, we can do another night. Let's see, where else are I? Okay, then pass HD Diesel to Goodwin Road where the blanket was found, and back north to Highway 310 where he turned east towards Two Rivers. He traveled past St. Vincent de Paul to Jesse's apartment on Mishicot Road. The amount of time it took to drive all of that was 30 minutes and 35 seconds without stopping. Dr. Karsten further examined the skeletal remains at the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh Forensic Anthropology Laboratory. Dr. Karsten estimated that the bones were those of a 3 to 4-year-old child who stood between 2 foot 9 inches, 134 inches, 2 foot 9 inches, 134 inches total, and 3 foot 4 inches in height. This is consistent with Elijah's height. Dr. Karsten further noted that the degree of decomposition observed on Elijah's skeletal remains and the corresponding estimated postmortem interval is consistent with the death being at the time he went missing. Basically acknowledging it was, okay, he didn't die weeks, months later or weeks, months earlier. It's right at that time frame. Dr. Karsten observed that the skull of Elijah had a healed fracture on the zygomatic process of the right temporal bone. This instance of trauma was associated with the diastasis of, sorry guys, zygomatico-temporal suture, which resulted in the complete separation of that suture line. Diastasis of the squamosal suture and the anterior-most squamosal suture was also noted. However, these instances of diastasis were not associated with complete displacement. I need water while I'm pronouncing these words. Within the scientific literature, diastasis of cranial sutures has been correlated with head trauma occurring during instances of child abuse. So kind of going back earlier when we were talking about shaken baby syndrome and certain types of things looking, okay, right here, these areas, as they separate, they can often be connected to child abuse and head trauma. I just spilled water on me. Okay. Dr. Karsten further noted that the trauma was not present during, Elijah when he was at 6 months of age. Okay, so they can look at old x-rays, and that's what they'll do. They'll take a look at what they have now, pull out the old x-rays and see what has changed. Is this an old injury? Is this not? Okay. To see the level of healing observed would have taken at least several weeks. Therefore, Dr. Karsten notes that the trauma was inflicted must have occurred between the timing of the cranial radiograph x-ray and at least several weeks prior to his death. So these head traumas that we're talking about here were not at time of death. They were healed to some degree, if I'm reading this correctly, which means it happened after the x-rays at 6 months, but before a certain amount of time that would have allowed because that amount of healing. And so, yeah, and no excuse, okay, ever given for what happened to him. On September 27th, Dr. Hilary Petska, a child abuse pediatrician with Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, reported that based on the information obtained through law enforcement's investigation of Katrina and Jesse, Elijah is diagnostic for physical abuse, psychological, emotional maltreatment, and neglect. All 3 separate, different types of child abuse. People think of child abuse as no. There's multiple types, and there's 3 ticked off, one after another. Dr. Petska notes that the history provided by caregivers to law enforcement and messages to each other is consistent with torture. Quote, a type of child maltreatment characterized by physical assault or abuse, psychological maltreatment and neglect resulting in prolonged emotional distress, pain and suffering, bodily injury, disfigurement or dysfunction, and or death. Dr. Petska noted that Elijah experienced multiple types of maltreatment, including forced position holding. Okay, how many times were we told he was made to stand for hours and hours and hours? Okay, without moving, keeping his hands in that prayer position. Okay, he was exposed to cold water showers on at least 2 occasions. Sleep deprivation. How many times we were told that, oh yeah, he's not going to be allowed to sleep tonight. All those text messages. Their text messages, those videos and all that were all the documentation given to us. They gave us their own documentation. Isolation from his mom. Isolation from his sisters. Isolation from others. Terrorizing. Repeated threats of cold water. You want the cold water? Okay, you're not gonna see your mom anymore. That's terrorizing. Dr. Petska further identified that Elijah's presentation was consistent with supervisory neglect and physical neglect. Okay, neglect over the physical body. Okay, changing his diaper, things like that, him needing medical care and not getting medical care, things like that. And supervision neglect. Okay, not giving him what he needed as a parent or adult figure. Dr. Petska explains that supervisory neglect includes young children left without supervision or left in the care of children who lack the judgment and maturity necessary to safely and appropriately react to an emergency. Dr. Petska also reports that changing a diaper once a day would not be considered appropriate care and could cause discomfort, distress, and increase the risk of preventable infections. Dr. Petska indicates that Elijah experienced psychological, emotional maltreatment. Dr. Petska explained that caregiver behaviors which are considered to be psychological or emotional maltreatment include deprivation, ignoring, isolating, spurning, and terrorizing. Cassie, Wrigley, come here. I'm not sure if, hopefully Crisp is keeping their barking to a normal level. Deprivation includes preventing a child from meeting basic needs, such as sleep, food, things like that. Ignoring is failing to respond to a child's need for stimulation, nurturance, encouragement, protection. In this case, victim child 1, Elijah, was not allowed to play with toys, which a child needs to learn and develop normally, and was repeatedly subject to an environment where he was maltreated. Elijah was also isolated from having normal social interactions with other children and adults. Elijah was spurned or belittled by repeatedly saying, implying, and making him say he was not a good boy. Elijah was terrorized when threatening with extreme punishments or creating a climate of terror by playing on his fears. Dr. Petska explained that psychological emotional maltreatment damages a child and significantly increases the risk of adverse health, mental health, and emotional outcomes due to the direct and indirect effects of the maltreatment of the child's physical, psychological, cognitive, and emotional development. All of this affects for the rest of their life. Telling a child that they're a bad boy or a bad girl does affect them for the rest of their life. Dr. Petska also reviewed the cell phone image taken by Baur on Valentine's Day. Dr. Petska notes that the areas of discoloration, particularly those on his neck, neck and elbow, raise concerns for bruising suggestive of fingertip contusions. Recognizing the actual fingertips. And Dr. Petska further noted that the large area of discoloration to his elbow appears to have a linear pattern which would not be typical or expected with an accidental fall. Dr. Petska also discussed the healed fracture of the right zygomatic process that Dr. Karsten observed during the examination of his skull. Dr. Petska indicated that facial bone fractures are typically caused by blunt force trauma or crush and would be expected to be extremely painful. Anyone who's broken a nose, broken a cheekbone, broken a knows what that feels like. On October 16th, 2024, Dr. Adam Kovash, Chief Medical Examiner of the Fond du Lac County Medical Examiner's Office, filed a report regarding Elijah. In his report, Dr. Kovash indicates that the cause of death was homicide by unspecified means. Dr. Kovash further noted that a forensic anthropological analysis of Elijah's skeleton was performed by Dr. Jordan Karstens. Dr. Kovash noted that Dr. Karstens' report identified a healed fracture of the cheekbone here, which was estimated to be at least a few weeks old. The healed fracture was associated with adjacent suture line diastasis. Dr. Kovash noted that diastasis in this context means separation of previously fused suture lines and indicates trauma. So lines within areas that, as we get older, come together and all. Dr. Kovash explained that the fractures of that type seen in the right zygomatic process can be consistent with physical abuse. It should be noted that the bones of children are more elastic than adult bones. They bend much more than they break. As such, they require more force to fracture. And that's what a lot of us forget. For those to break, when we hear of a child's broken bone due to abuse, it takes a lot more to break the bone of a child. Okay. Then we go into the repeater portion of it and all, which we're not going to go into, all of that. But that is everything with it. If people are interested, we can definitely, probably in the next couple days, maybe do a map study of all the different locations mentioned here and see what comes from that. Just let me know what you guys think in the discussion and comments in the bottom there. This live has gone a lot longer than normal, but I did want to make sure you guys did get one last update that I talked about, and that was with Suzanne. So I'm going to real quickly, this one takes 2.5 minutes is all. We talked about Suzanne on Monday. I had mentioned on Monday that they were actually looking at, switch these things over here. They were actually in the process of looking in a couple of landfills for Suzanne's remains. For those of you who don't know who Suzanne is from San Antonio, Texas, and she went missing just about 2 weeks ago now, just under 2 weeks ago. And her husband has been arrested for domestic violence. A neighbor heard her and him fighting and saw a physical altercation occur just before she went missing. So based off of that report, they were able to arrest him on that and a few other charges. However, they have not found Suzanne's body yet, and they are looking for that. So I wanted to update you guys on that case. For those of you who've been sticking with me throughout this, I really thank you guys so much. This is one of the longest ones I've done for a long time. So let me get this done real quick. I just realized I unplugged myself, so I'm going to plug myself back in so I can hear with you, because it's nice to be able to hear. So, okay, and here we go.
Empty-handed, searching a landfill for anything connected to Suzanne Simpson. They are now determining their next steps. But as KENS 5's Mike Jimenez explains, a local nonprofit is now trying to do what they can to help.
Just so you guys know, she's a mom of 4. They had 2 children and then 2 from a previous relationship. And the fear is that these children may have seen something also.
Suzanne Simpson has been missing for nearly 2 weeks. After several searches by law enforcement, a nonprofit is now stepping in to help.
On Friday morning, the nonprofit Search and Support San Antonio started their search for clues where law enforcement began theirs 11 days ago, searching a wooded area near Suzanne Simpson's home.
We are just going to provide additional support in terms of unannounced search where we can perhaps be of some assistance to help find Suzanne.
Simpson has been missing since October 6th after police say a neighbor saw her arguing with her husband Brad in front of their Olmos Park home. Brad Simpson was arrested 3 days later in Kendall County on related charges, and authorities have said he has been uncooperative. Searches in a wooded area near the home, a property in Bernie, and a landfill have come up empty-handed. Search and Support waited to begin their search so they didn't interfere with law enforcement.
We are here to try and find and
that's one thing that I thought was really laudable with this group. This group does a lot of work. If you're in Texas, San Antonio area, they do a lot of really hard work. This wooded area they're talking about here is actually the area where the witness who heard everything and saw the fight said as he went and grabbed his flashlight and went outside to try to find out what was going on, he heard 2 or 3 screams from this wooded area. And then about an hour later, he saw Brad, her husband, leaving in his vehicle. And then I guess he returned about an hour or 2 later.
answers because there's a family out there that's hurting.
The nonprofit is providing a second set of eyes, hoping to find a clue that will help law enforcement. We did reach out to authorities for an update, but they have said there is nothing new to report, and there is no information regarding any additional search areas. Search and Support says they will continue to search where it makes sense.
So if we find areas that make sense to search, we'll be there. And of course, we are respectful of law enforcement.
The nonprofit says no tip is too small. If you know anything about the Suzanne Simpson case, you're urged to contact the Olmos Park Police Department, or you can also contact Search and Support San Antonio. Mike Jimenez, KENS 5.
So that's the update we have on her. Hopefully they'll find her at some point here. We know her family has pretty much given up hope at this point. They feel she is gone. Her mom had actually had a talk with her right before she disappeared. in which it sounds like she had explained that there had been some physical things happening. And in fact, her mom had planned on the next time they talked saying, you know what, I want you to bring the kids, come move in with me. Your daughter can go to the local school here. And but unfortunately, something happened before she was able to tell her that. So for all of you guys who've been able to hang out with us this whole time, I mean, oh my gosh, I haven't done this long of a live and I don't know how long. And okay, Cassie, you want to sit up here with me? Is that what you want? You just want to sit here with me? That's it. And so thank you guys so much, those of you who've been hanging out. And I need to connect with Siren real quickly so we can record. Those of you guys, the 26th of October, Robbie's movie is going to be, what are you doing? Okay, we're going to be premiering it over on his channel, and there's going to be a bunch of us having fun that night with it. We're going to go over to Siren's afterwards to do some fun things also. So I'm going to go head over to him. He and I are going to try to get some things finished for that. And then I sent a text halfway through to tell my mom and my brother and sister-in-law, I'm running late. So anyhow, thank you guys so much, all of you guys who've hung out long enough. And I will connect with you for either that map thing or on Monday, whichever comes first. And also, thank you guys so much. And I will talk to you soon. Yeah, you want to say goodbye? Is that it? Okay. You say goodbye as I hit the button. Aloha.